open up our head. Oh, the skull connects to the neck connects to the spine. Whenever our joints align, we can help moving minds.
Tosi.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
You're about to see us in a few seconds.
How's everybody doing out there? Come say what's up. If you're lurking in the channel, come say hi.
Yeah. Drop a 1 in the chat.
Drop a
some
1.
emojis.
Here, I'll drop one of my emojis. Get started here shortly, everybody.
Starting now.
Our first pilot.
Hello, everybody.
How's it doing,
Hello,
folks?
world.
Wow, it's happening. It's
Oh, I like
real.
that. Whoa, it is real. Look
Elena,
at
what are we
everybody.
doing?
What
What?
is happening?
I don't know what we're doing.
It's a Monday afternoon? What?
Monday evening.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
I
I
know.
lost my
I
train.
specifically chose a Monday mustache. Like, this mustache says Mondays, am I right?
Mondays.
Yes. So,
So-
welcome everybody. OSJ Live. So we decided to kind of cover the Charter Review Commission. For those of you tuning in for the first time, they are tasked with amending our city constitution. And they have been meeting since January 11th, every other Monday, to talk about, forms of government, whether or not we should move the election years. And tonight they're going to be talking definitely about that. And so brought this team together. I thought, we'd try to make it a little bit fun, liven it up. And without further ado, please introduce yourself. We'll start with Tosi.
Hi, everyone out there in internet land. What's up, everybody? My name is Tosi. I go by Cream Bananas here on Twitch. I'm an actor, an arts advocate, a live streamer, and an enjoyer of noodles of any kind, really. Yeah, Asian noodles, Italian noodles, not poodles, but yeah. And I'm happy to be here and sort of check out what's going on. Let me zip it over to Cynthia up top.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cynthia in public. I am not a poodle discriminator. I am actually a local comedian out in San Jose. I'm a producer. I'm a super small, teeny tiny
There we
business
go.
owner. I am a loyal cat servant. And I guess I'm here at this Charter Review. I just had to break out my mustache. I mean, these are the kind of things that require that level of gravity, I'm really excited to just be here and also to like chill with the Falcon. Like I've been talking nonstop about the Falcon for about a week. So
Shall we?
Yeah.
Can we do a quick drum roll for the Falcon?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, animals of all ages, creatures of all spaces, Falcon Cam. Whoop. There it is. Falcon is in the roost, in the nest. Look at that.
see, oh my God, he is. Okay, you guys do not understand. Okay, I started watching this Falcon because the first time I saw these San Jose Charter Review Committee meetings, it was just so boring. It was so boring. And then the little pane to the right, they had a Falcon. Okay, the Falcon was just chilling on the roof. I'm like, how did we get a Falcon? Where did it come from? What is its origin story? Who is its nemesis? Like, what is your story arc, right? And I just got so curious. And now, like, I can't stop. Like, look at him. Look at it. Like, he just sat. Was that with those eggs, or is he sitting on food? I don't know. But it's so fascinating. Don't you want to know more about the Falcon?
I do, actually. But
Like, I don't mind cutting to him anytime they have like a really boring argument. Just like, now to the Falcon. Mm.
well, the great thing is I have it on a hotkey, so anytime we need a little dose of Falcone, we can make that happen.
Yeah, we're going to check in.
Ooh, Tosi with the magic fingers. Okay,
Well,
I see you,
that's-
Tosi. I
yeah,
see you.
That's how we
Snaps
roll.
all around.
All right, let's go back here. But real quick, what is the channel about for those of who might be tuning in, maybe on cable access TV or anywhere else? Elena, what?
This channel, Yeah, this channel is going to be about covering the Charter Review Commission. So that's every other Monday that they meet from around 6 to maybe around 9. It's a long meeting. It's kind of like a baseball game. And and we'll be just kind of following along. Maybe every now and then I might have to hop off to my other mic and give public comment. And tonight, I believe we are getting a presentation from Terry Christensen, who is a former SJSU professor. And so he'll be educating us on elections.
Cool.
Alita said it all.
Yeah. So I just real quick, there are some wonderful people already here hanging out on the Twitch channel. I just want to quickly let's just wave at them real quick. Hi, y'all.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks for taking a little time out of your Monday early evening to just hang out here. If you feel inclined to make clips of moments in the channel, for those who don't know how Twitch works, you can either hit Alt-X or there's a little tiny slate button thing here on the player. You'll be able to make up to 1 minute clips. So if we say something funny or you see something worth making note of, utilize that clip, send it over to us. We'd really, really appreciate that. Or just drop it in the channel.
I would appreciate that. It makes me feel like I'm famous, and I like that feeling.
Make clips of us.
I'll never be the famous.
Make clips of us. All right. Alina, should I unmute the Zoom here that we are a part of and listen on in?
I'm sorry. Let's listen on in. Let's see what they're talking about.
Okay, audio settings. Oh, that's not the right one.
I know you had an expert here talking about a model charter, but you're not writing a model charter for all cities. You're writing a charter for this specific city, and that's why you're on the Charter Commission, because you know this specific city, and you need to be thinking about what changes, if any, we need to make in our city charter to make San Jose work better.
Terry's book game is strong. Look at that wall.
Everybody, if possible, but as many, if possible.
Wait, you know what? I'm trying to tell if that's the virtual
So a little
background.
bit about the role of the council in relation to the mayor. There's been a gradual shift in that relationship.
I'm not about to give them credit. Oh, we can't tell. They have it stuck on gallery view.
Towards the mayor. And from 1916 to 1967, we had no elected mayor at all. There wasn't even anybody with the title of mayor till 1948. During that time, whoever was acting as the chair of the city council, president of the council and mayor, was simply a member of the council.
All I see is about
serving by rotation, selected by members of the other members.
Take
of the
a
council.
screenshot and send it to me so I can direct you faster, because I'm not sure what you're
looking at. All elected citywide or at large. So basically a council of equals. That began to shift in 1967.
Twitch.tv only it should drop you, and on the right hand side you'll see the Twitch
first directly
the chat feature.
Elected mayor. Serving alongside 6 colleagues also elected citywide. So the mayor's elected citywide, so is the entire city council. So now the mayor becomes something like the first among equals, has a title, but actually no additional power. The charter
Tassi,
that
what
was
are
written in
bits?
1965 and created the first directly elected mayor designated
What's
the
that?
mayor as, quote, the political leader, unquote, of the
bits?
city. Chuck Davidson, who really recently passed away,
Let me go ahead and mute
was
this.
on that charter revision commission. And here's what he said about the meaning.
Oh, great. I'm glad that works so easily. Bits are ways to tip the channel. I do not think your Twitch channel yet is
No, I'm not bit verified.
not quite yet. Once you've hit a very minimum threshold of, like, I think 3 streams in a week or something like that, or in a 30-day period, you'll be able to join the affiliates program here on Twitch, in which, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe to the channel for free. That's right. In fact, you can do it. Yeah. Well, that's how it rolls. Yeah. But yeah, feel free to ask if anyone has questions about Twitch. Yeah, right.
Like $100 account to get a free video.
Representing about 100,000 people each, as compared to the mayor, who represents 1 million people.
could
That in
just
itself
randomly
is an
raise your hand in
enhancement
here,
of the-
but no one's going
of
to
the
answer
role
you
of
in this,
mayor, if
is
not
there?
the authority.
No, not until
and
it's
in a
time for
sense,
us
an
to
enhancement of
speak,
the power of the
which is
mayor,
during public
representing and
comment.
speaking for 1 million
And
people.
If I raise
so-
my hand, I'm like, do
Access
you
through the
know the
media,
Lord and Savior
to 1
Twitch?
million people that most individual council members by district simply don't have because they don't get the kind of attention that the mayor does. That's an enhancement
Okay, let's see.
of-
What is Terry
of the
saying here?
power of the mayor.
He is so far
And,
talking about the founding
so
of the
with district
mayor. So
elections,
there
we see a
apparently
little more
wasn't
of a
a
shift
mayor until they
towards
created
stronger
the
leadership,
Constitution in the
a
mid
role
60s.
for
And he's
for
just
the
pretty
mayor.
much explaining like the
Around
role of
this
the
time
mayor, and he's
also,
supposed
Mayor
to be
Janet Gray
the
Hayes
elected
took a couple of
representative
powers
of,
for the mayor,
or the
and
elected
art in the
official of
chamber,
the city.
and they were nominating
There we
the
go.
vice
Cynthia,
mayor
you're an expert now.
and naming members
Amazing,
of council
amazing.
committees. That's changed over time. Both of those go to the full council now, but the mayor still initiates that. That's a little bit extra power because the mayor can reward and encourage some close allies or can help win over allies with.
So, Joy HWA asks, Elena, can you talk about the process for these meetings? When do we get to give public comment? Do lots of people do it?
Most people will show up if there is a specific agenda item that they want to speak on. And so right now, let's see, they are. And the thing about Zoom is that they don't have a UI that shows you which agenda item they're on. I know Terry's presenting, but though I can't tell which section. Study session. Okay, so this 1A. So this is impact of election timing. And it looks like they're going to go new business, old business. And
members of the public are invited to speak on any item that does not appear on today's agenda, and that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. So I assume that they're probably going to save that towards the end, right before adjournment.
Yeah, so that is the last part. There's like the open public comment, and then typically they will also ask for a public comment after every agenda item, especially if there is a vote. They'll ask to hear from the public.
Anna said, and I'm an alumnus of the same program she is in.
And
San Jose is a hybrid form of government.
Do we have a little bit of a delay?
It's just not.
Or is it pretty?
It's a 15-second delay between us and then Twitch.
And actually, most
so 10 to 15
council
seconds.
15?
like their council by district.
That's
So
a-
How do
in
we
sense,
fix
we're
that?
a bit of a
You-
hybrid.
you-
We can't. It's just a
Other
broadcast thing.
cities
It
make
shouldn't be 15. It should be at
those
least 2, but
changes.
2?
San Jose
Twitch is
has
pretty
a
quick,
population,
yeah.
We're the 11th largest city in the United States.
I will check
That's
myself.
just beyond us. And
12.
as
12.
cities grow larger
I just
and
checked.
become more diverse,
10 to 12.
the politics
Huh.
of those cities tend to become more
I think it's because we might
complex.
not be doing it direct.
Divisions increase.
Oh, it's going through restream,
factions
maybe.
emerge,
Yeah.
conflict becomes more
Can we do it
Think of
directly
San
through
Francisco,
Twitch
think of
instead?
Chicago, think of Los
Will that
Angeles, think of
involve
New
us
York.
going
We
offline
have
for a little bit?
factions and we have
It will.
conflict in San Jose, but it's nothing like as rigid or as powerful as the kind of factions and conflicts
This
that
dude
are
is
commonly seen
long-winded.
in these other large cities.
He's
a
not
professor.
taking a breath. Like,
but
I
we're
mean,
not there.
no offense to him.
So-
Like, that's pretty
But when
impressive.
there's
But
that kind
like,
of conflict and
Yo.
those kinds of factions,
Terry Filibuster
political
Christensen.
leadership becomes much more important because political
oh,
leadership can
Joya
resolve the
or
conflict.
Joy
A
Hua
mayor
or
can
Joy,
pull
I
together
don't know
a
which
governing
one,
coalition
says
of
it sounds even better
denial
with a
factions
mustache. Thank
to
you
have a
so
majority,
much. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Joy.
And,
Yeah, are you getting
carry
delay?
public policy
I mean,
forward.
the
But
delay's
to do
not
that,
bad, but like we're
the mayor
watching
needs some actual
the Zoom
authority.
I think-
and chat's
Yeah,
pretty.
I think we're watching in
Department
real
heads
time on the Zoom.
and
It's
over the
just
budget.
that
So the
what the
question
public
before
sees on
you,
Twitch
I
is
think,
delayed. So
is
it doesn't impact
whether
us
San
or really
Jose
the
is at
quality.
that
It's just
point
that like we'll
now
just
that
know
we
that
need
whatever
that
we
kind of
say, we
leadership,
want to see a comment for like
or whether
another
the current
15 to
system
20 seconds.
still works reasonably well
Okay.
for this community.
Is there
If we move to a mayor council
what is
form,
the
power
technical
shifts even
difficulties
more
of
to the mayor.
of
The lines
switching?
accountability become much more clear
Toss
to
him
the
on.
public.
Oh, I guess my question
to
to
the
you,
voters.
Alina,
You
is:
don't
are
just
you
think the mayor's
watching
in
on the
charge, the
Twitch
mayor
the
actually
Zoom, or are you
is in
watching on the
charge.
Zoom directly? Because I'm watching the Zoom
This is
directly,
subject to a
and then
counterbalance
I'm
by the
just
council. The
seeing you
council is
guys on the
still there. The
pin
council still has a role to
for
play.
the
But
OBS
the shift
Ninja,
to
and
a
then Twitch.
mayor
I'm just
council
like
form
checking the
shifts power
comments.
towards the mayor and away from the council.
Yeah,
So
I
we need to
am
be thinking
looking
about that
at
balance of
the
power. How
Twitch,
much
but also I
Oh.
have
want
the
council,
I
the
do
council
have
have in relation to the
the
mayor? How much do you
Zoom
wanna
on my phone.
see
Yeah,
shifted to
I think the
stronger
best way to
Unfortunately,
do
you
it
don't-
is
executive?
yeah, I think the best way to do
leadership.
it, like I'll send you a screenshot,
If you
is
do
to
shift
have the
to
Zoom open on your
a
left,
council manager form
and
of
then just
government,
us
there
on the
are ways
right,
to
and then the Twitch is
maybe
like
mitigate
sort of a background thing.
the powers.
Let's all
Okay.
send. Let's all send Alina a screenshot, y'all. If you have Alina's phone
You
number.
don't have to
I
give
know
the mayor
I'm the
veto.
non.
The mayor of Oakland doesn't have veto power.
You are
You
fine.
don't have to give
Yeah,
the
you're doing
mayor
great.
imperial veto power.
That's
There are
up.
cities where the mayor doesn't have veto power
Hey
over
folks,
land use.
we
Not sure
experiencing no
not sure
technical
what the
difficulties.
rationale
We just
about
wanted to
that
say
is,
that.
but,
We're just trying to
Yeah.
figure out ways to
We're
optimize
total
this stream
pros.
for your viewing
there's a
pleasure.
range of
Check it out,
veto
Falcon.
power that you can give.
Oh,
Some is to give
no,
line
Falcon
item
flew.
veto.
No.
Oh.
That enables the mayor to veto
Is it-
not
is it-
No.
pieces of
Okay, there's the
Got
other
it.
Falcon
by the
cam
legislative
though. Like
body,
maybe
but to veto
maybe he's
individual
like.
It's
Ugh.
true.
Okay,
I-
I'll
I-
email you,
It's a
Alina.
budget line item. Maybe it's a one part
We
of
gotta
a,
check the other up because there's
of an
two. He might
ordinance.
be on the rooftop.
Veto
don't
generally
know.
takes
I haven't
two
set that
things
one
to
up.
override.
Sorry.
You could leave it a simple majority. You could leave it
It's
a
all
slightly
good. It's
greater
all
than a
good.
simple majority, 60% instead of 60.
This is already more productive than the CRC. What's the
That's
CRC?
another way to do it.
Ajay
I think it could
Sajay.
be important if you
A
move
J
to a
is a
council
J.
mayor form of government to provide a budget analyst for the
Okay.
council.
You know what's interesting about this?
I didn't know that he was
San
gonna be
Diego's
talking the whole
actually a good
time. I
model
thought there
for
was
you
gonna
all to
be
look at. It's a fairly recent
Like a
change.
break in him talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strong
He's
mayor,
like
PowerPoint or
like
something.
you mean a breath,
Second.
like a breath.
Strong mayor, the first 2 terms in the
I'm low
He's
key.
a pro.
I'm-
He's
First term.
spoken for so many
So
years.
how it's working
I'm
out
low
in
key
San
jealous
Diego
of this
is
breath
similar-
control.
the city
Like
quite similar to
as
San
an
Diego.
actor, this is what we train for oration and
Good thing you
for
all
you
to
know
look at. But
strong
budget analysts,
diaphragm, but this is unreal.
you
Like
know, the state legislature has a
Like he don't
legislative
even need a
analyst
sip
that
of
looks at the
water. He's
governor's
just
budget
like
proposals.
no.
The state legislature has its own expertise.
Emily Schwing asks, is that a
And
potato
then you
or
should
an
also
egg?
consider the place of the city
In
attorney
relation
in
to the
relation
Falcon.
to
I
the
think
council and the
that's
mayor. You don't want a city
uh,
attorney
I
who's
think
looking
it's an
for
egg,
one or
actually.
the
I
other,
thought it was
just the
an
mayor.
egg.
But
I'm
a
not
city
sure.
attorney, as Mark Vanny said last week, a city attorney that
Okay.
represents the city and not
Let me
just
just-
individuals and
No.
not just the
Mark
mayor.
Vanny, by the way, was
Other
his student.
cities, Oakland elects the city attorney.
The
San
city
Diego
attorney
elects
for
the
this
city
charter.
attorney.
Oh.
There's some
Really?
problems with that, I think, but there are various ways
But
of
it's
doing it.
red.
You should also
Okay, let me
have
look this up.
legal
Do
advice
Falcons lay red
that's
eggs?
available to the council.
do Falcons
And or to
lay
the mayor,
red potatoes?
That's not biased towards one or the other, or if it is.
Which are best potatoes for potato salad
Okay.
if you're
So
looking to
that's
make
a
some
little
potato
bit,
salad,
Mayor
chat.
Council, I'm going to address election timing just briefly because I want to leave Mary plenty of time.
All right, we're on election
uh,
timing
to
now.
talk about the
Ooh,
actual
okay, here we
data
go.
that she and Garrick have collected.
I feel like I should add maybe
Basically,
like some
there's
sound
simply
effects, like
no
a crowd
question
cheering or something.
that scheduling
Oh,
elections
yes.
in presidential
I was gonna
years
ask if
will
we can do
result in
that.
more voter participation.
Yeah, let's see.
How much? That's a question, but it will be more. It could be as much as 30 or 40%. That's a lot more. Mary will
Okay,
give you some
so
specific figures.
I have some answers
just a
for
minute.
you.
thing
The
about higher voter
Audrey
turnout
Bird
elections,
Society of
though, is
Kalamazoo,
that it's not just
which is
regular
all about
members,
bird
it's a different
diversity,
electorate.
says how many eggs do falcons lay? How long do they take to hatch?
More voters who
Peregrine falcons lay 3 to 4 creamy to brownish eggs dotted with red and brown spots, which hatch after 30 days of incubation. The female does most of the incubation, of course. And although the male would take a turn, while the female goes in search for food, after hatching, the nestlings called ayas
Hey,
stay in the nest for
yes.
30
Hey, yes.
They stay in the nest for 35 to 42 days before they are ready to fledge. After fledging, the young birds continue to rely on their parents for another 4 to 6 weeks for food, freeloaders, and to master the flying and hunting skills they need in order to survive. On average, only 2 young birds successfully fledge per nest each year.
Back to you, Terry.
Tough.
People like probably all of us on this Zoom screen right now who are regular, reliable voters who they know are going to vote. And most
I think we're
campaigns
learning
don't
so
have
much
the
about-
resources to reach out beyond that.
I thought Terry was
to the less
introducing
reliable
Mary.
voters.
What's
And
happening?
if those voters aren't reached out to,
Wow.
of course, it's even less likely that they'll vote. So campaigns sometimes.
Do you see
most of
Lon
the
Diep? That
time
was our former council member
reinforce,
as well
the
Yeah,
turnout
there he is.
for
phenomenon
District 4.
amongst the groups of
Yes,
people.
I think-
he's grown out
I
his
just talked
hair.
about. If those people are
As
participating,
look at
though,
the pandemic hair is happening for
maybe
sure.
elected officials would talk about rent control. In a
I
different
feel like
way
we should make
before renters are voting. Maybe they
a
would
wager
talk about
here
climate
on
change
like where
in a different
Terry's
way, take it more
panel
seriously if
will
more
be
young
at the
people
end of
vote,
today's stream,
since
because
that's
he's
such
kind
an
of like
important issue
sort of snaked his
for young
way
people. So it can
in the
change
Zoom panel.
what campaigns
in-
do, what campaigns talk about.
He
and what
was on the
what,
bottom row.
I
Now
know. I noticed he
with more
moved.
people voting
I think it's as
and a
people
more
come in and out.
representative, electorate. I'm going to stop there and let Mary give you her data, and then we'll have a chance to talk more with questions, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Lawrence, do you have the ability to share your screen with the memo with the table?
Yeah, I can, and let me pull that up. If you could
That would
just,
be
So
Yeah.
Lawrence
That
is
would be
not a
helpful.
commissioner.
I
He
know
was
you all
hired
have the
by
memo, but,
the
if we're all
city
looking at it at the same time, that
to
would be really
facilitate
helpful.
this commission.
give me a moment.
Oh,
Sure, and I could just get started right
So is
away.
he-
Just
So are they
some
acting as
context,
like a
the data
chairperson?
that, Garrick and I put together.
Lawrence?
We are
Yeah.
comparing the
No. Frederick is the chairperson. Lawrence is
These are held in gubernatorial years, as Terry mentioned.
how do I describe
to
Lawrence?
a
Is he the guy who's just like,
election.
everyone, anyone else second this,
So what
second
is
this?
turned
Okay,
out
is
in
there
the
someone who
citywide
like fourths
race?
this or fifths
So we're
this?
not comparing
Okay, all the
against
yays say
two
yay,
races.
all the
Thank you very
nays say
much.
nay.
So
I don't know if
we
I
are
got that right,
comparing
but
Oh.
to a
Yeah,
citywide
no,
race. So as you can
that's
see,
Fred. So Fred is in charge
this,
of
the table, so
making the motion.
2020, this,
Oh, okay.
First, the total
And
votes,
Lawrence will sometimes give
392,000
presentations, and he's
votes.
supposed to help the chair
This-
kind of keep the commission on
the race
track.
Here, this is Measure G.
Gotcha.
This was the expansion of the police.
can I just say how nerve-wracking this must be to be here in like this room and like you are designated to do the screen share? Like, you like your mouse is in your hand, like I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting. The percentage of turnout for the mayoral gubernatorial election, the basically
Gubernatorial, yeah. I had
turnout's been
trouble.
going down. That's what we're saying. The turnout's been going down.
Yeah.
Turnout as percentage of registered voters in San Jose from 55.9% in 2006 to 36.7% in 2018. And percentage of turnout a percent of registered voters in San Jose,
So you can compare these going down
71.9 to 37.8. So it's not the
2016, this is,
worst.
Measure G, the business tax.
Yeah.
That's the citywide measure that we can compare. So again, 69.4%. We can compare that to the 2014 mayoral race, which turnout was 43.4%. And then going down, comparing these citywide races to mayoral elections. And you can see in presidential years,
In this sort of like
citywide elections,
context,
a citywide
my
election
brain goes into
turnout
places of
is
like
in many cases
looking at this sheet
substantially
of
higher.
paper with statistics on it and
So
then
one of
like
the things that Garrick and I also
actually
did
remembering
was
the
we
different
actually
streets of
averaged
downtown San Jose and like the
Mm.
two are somewhat related,
differences between presidential years.
and that's so fascinating to me, and I'm not even high for any of this, right? Like it's just one of those moments that's I'm literally sitting here thinking these numbers are streets that I walk on, are the people that I see at like the grocery store. It's just so. Is it
Yeah.
existential in a way?
If you were to
I missed those existential questions in my 20s, so now in my 30s, I'm kind of playing catch up.
Oh, the existential questions. I feel like they all came back with COVID and like sheltering in place.
For real.
Which are about, let me double check, 500, I believe it's.
I want to know what
So
Linda's
basically-
reading.
Okay, I think I understand what they're talking about, right? So column A is the total votes cast for mayors. And I think they're trying to emphasize that during election years, like there's a pretty high number of votes. And this chart only shows election years, right? Column
Yeah.
B is the percentage of people that actually turned out to vote, right? So 36% of 36.7% of registered voters turned out to vote, which is confusing a little bit with column D, which says turnout, but column D is actually talking about the percentage of registered voters in San Jose. So like it's just a percentage of a percentage of a percentage, but like I think the general thing that we should take away from this chart is that in general, like election years have higher um a higher number of people that like turn out to vote.
Hmm.
But like the trend has also been downturn in terms of like people are actually voting less from 2006 all the way to 2018.
Yeah.
I
And
wonder if that's
also,
like people moving out, or
That could be people moving out, but I think when you're looking at the percentage of turnout, it's a percentage of the population, right? So you're basically saying that less people are inclined to vote and less people actually voted um, in 2018 than in 2006. But when we look at 2020, we actually had a spike because we went from like 311,000 to like
yeah.
391,000. So I think 2020, because it was not only a big election year, but there were so many like issues on the ballot that affected a lot of people, more people turned out.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Which is crazy too, because um, with the pandemic and a lot of people voting by mail. So that was a big factor.
Oh, right. Huh.
Mhm. Yeah.
And when they're talking about turnout, they mean physically we're there.
I think they. I don't think physically. I think they might count mail-in ballots too, because a large majority of people in California actually voted. I think it
Mailed.
was like close to. It's somewhere between 40 to 60% use mail-in ballots to vote. I also know this because I was one of those people like opening the ballots and like flattening them down for the machine.
Yes.
Yeah. And Joy, yeah, you're correct. So more people vote in presidential elections than in the gubernatorial ones, which are like the ones in between elections, just
Mm.
because it's like you're already there. Like, why not vote for your mayor? But I think what a lot of people miss is that voting for local elections is very important because local elections have a lot of measures that could directly affect your life a lot more. Like, that one pothole that we all see in downtown that we don't know how they haven't fixed. But they
Yeah.
haven't fixed it because it's past 7th Street. And when you go past 7th Street, they just stop caring. They just don't. They don't. They
Right.
don't. Like if it was on 1st Street,
Yeah.
they're like, oh yeah, there's the money there. But like on 7th Street or 9th or 11th, they're like,
Nada.
Cynthia is
Nada.
nailing it.
Go set
Yeah.
up a
And so
lemonade stand.
Yeah, one of the things and one of the things that they're discussing too is that they want to move the odd number districts to the presidential. So switch it. So right now it's the even number districts that are voting with the presidential election, and there's more turnout during the presidential election. So they want to switch the odd number districts because the odd number districts are also kind of, is District 5, 7, and they're more like East Side San Jose.
That would actually make sense. I think it's a good way of like increasing representation and definitely with everything that's going on and that has happened the last 10 years with let's be frank, gentrification and redevelopment. I think that it makes, which is affecting those districts the most. It makes sense to have those people try increase participation in their voting.
Mm-hmm.
I see some hands being
Back to
raised
you,
in here.
Lawrence.
Look, there's a bunch of like hands raised in there
Ooh.
that they're about to throw in. He's like, catch these hands.
Ooh, I'm definitely paying attention to the people that like customize the skin tone on their emojis. I
Right.
see Luis Barosio.
Marosio. Yeah, right. I'm like,
Marosio.
yeah.
The memo from Planning Commissioner Allen that was sent in referenced undervotes. Just wanted to make sure that we're speaking on the same terms there.
I
So
believe he was referring to the same thing. Yes.
great. So I saw a couple hands shoot up around the same time, so I'm going to get us started with Commissioner Bruce, and then we'll go Lazat, Barosio, and Marshman.
Lawrence has
Lyman.
got
I
a
would just like to
badass
notify the
microphone
chair
there.
that I am
Headset.
present. I am attending this
It's like
meeting
a gamer
late.
mic
If the
headset.
minutes could
It's
reflect
good.
I took
It's
my
even
seat
better,
at
actually.
6:35, it would be much appreciated.
Now
Thank
I'm
you.
wondering what his chair
Thank
looks
you.
like.
Commissioner Lazat.
Yeah, right.
Does he have the gamer chair?
Like me.
Thank you.
I want one of those
Very
Herman
nice
Millers. So if
to
anyone
see you.
out there happens to know any
Professor,
companies
thank you
closing
for
down,
your,
that's just giving away
But aren't they
Herman Millers.
comfortable?
I just had a
They're
question on
super
comparing
comfortable. The Herman Miller
the,
ones, yeah.
Okay.
the
It's like
citywide
$1,000
measure
chairs.
to a citywide mayor
Who's this
race.
speaking? Linda? All right.
And I look at the citywide measure as being a one issue that people are only concerned about. Whereas a mayor's race, there's a lot of issues involved in, you know, who that candidate would be. And do you think that that is relevant to your hopes that by moving the mayor's race, we would see such a big uptick? I think you said, you know, 20 to 30%. I mean, I see more people being engaged in a one issue than you know, trying to decipher between, you know, two people's varying views on something in the mayor's race.
I'm going to let Mary take that really, but in general, I call it drop off rather than roll off or undervote, but we're talking about the same phenomenon. In general, the drop off is greater from candidates to ballot measures of a variety of sorts. So I think of course, we can't compare these data because there are different election cycles. The mayor's not on the ballot and so on. And actually, I don't think drop off is necessarily a bad thing. If people don't think they know enough to vote for something, that's fine, whether that's for mayor or or on a ballot measure. So I'm slightly encouraged by those numbers, given that some folks in the League of Women Voters, for example, have argued that we'd have less informed voters if we make this shift. But let's go to Mary on this one.
Less informed
That,
voters.
your first
Yeah,
point was
that-
the same point that I was going to make. We think our
I don't-
estimates are actually pretty conservative because statewide ballot measures and citywide measures tend to have lower turnout because it is only one thing. People have to be pretty knowledgeable about it. Voters tend to be less knowledgeable about these things. So comparing a mayor's race, mayor's races, city council races, these tend to have higher turnout because they deal with so many more issues and people are more knowledgeable about it and more engaged in it.
I'm trying to figure out if whether or not this is like coded
So why is there
language.
so much
Which part? The banter between them?
No, like the whole like, oh, it's fine to do it in between because we want more knowledgeable voters. But I think when we do it in between cycles, you get people more. I mean, frankly, if you think about it, part of the reason people actually vote every 4 years is everyone is talking about it. It's on the news, but like they also get guaranteed 4 hours off. Now, like that doesn't incentivize everyone, but it's enough that they're like, okay, yeah, I can go vote. But in between the big 4-year vote, then like the demographics kind of shift in favor of people that like have more leisure time and have more money and they're less colored. So I mean, I think it's an argument you can make, but I feel like I'd want to assess the merit of it because I tend to think that there's some people that just randomly fill in bubbles, but the vast majority of people will actually read through and figure out what they do and don't agree with.
Yeah. No, I think also the voter turnout is like you said, you know, the presidential is very highly covered. And so people are constantly talking about it and they're talking about the issues. So you get more informed voters by, you know, via coverage. And then the gubernatorial, like not many people are covering it. And so you have to be intentional about like wanting to know about that stuff. And also it's not very accessible. So this is why also we're doing this to make it like, you know, more accessible and so that people know about it. And so rather than changing it to get more voters, like, let's talk about civic education and, how can we get this information out there more so that people know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I missed the connection you made with hiring department heads. If you can say a little bit more about that phenomenon that you see or that observation.
Sure. So, well, let's take police accountability.
Oh.
No, I won't.
1971. Okay. I'm going to write that.
Nor could the mayor. Mayors in those big cities can fire police chiefs. They can make things happen. They may still be constrained by union contracts that the police unions negotiate, but they have more authority to actually do something. And communities sometimes really want to see something move, see some heads roll. And you have seen.
He straight up said, people want to see some heads roll. What? It's just
He wants to bring out the guillotine.
Yeah, what is this? What's happened? What? I just want to see that pothole filled. I mean, gee.
And then when the mayor can't, people are frustrated
Bike lanes.
by that.
Maybe some bike lanes.
Yeah, more
I
bike
think
lanes,
he might
please.
he might actually be making an argument for the
Okay, thank
Strong
you.
Mayor Initiative.
Thank you.
Because or
So
maybe
I got
not an argument, but
Commissioners
like
Marshman, Dieppe, Fuentes,
he's stating that in
Tran,
1971 there was an
Commissioner
IBM
Marshman.
worker that was shot by the police,
Hi,
which led
Terry.
to a lot of mass protests, and
I'm
people
gonna
wanted the
ask you
police
for an
that had the
opinion,
police
if you
fired.
feel
But
prepared
because
to
of the
give
way that
it.
our structure is set up, the
Understand,
mayor
but,
doesn't have the power to do that.
you talked about
In
cities
contrast to other
reaching a
bigger
point
cities where
that
they
they
have that
need
more of
to
that
make
power.
some
So that's why it's
changes.
just like people want to see
Interestingly,
some head
Rebecca
rolls. I'm like,
Duenas, former city manager,
but like
implied
that might have been a
last
gross,
meeting that,
gross
he thought maybe San Jose
hyperbole.
could
But
use some
people do
tweaks
want to
here.
see accountability when those
Do
things
you
happen.
feel
An
we're at the
action. Yeah,
point
something happening. For
that
sure.
we could
I feel like there's a whole
not go
side
through
world
full,
going on in the chat. Like
San
some people are
Francisco,
talking about Staples, standing
powerful
desk.
mayor, but
I'm Cream Bananas, by the way. That's me.
and
Oh, someone was trying to do a
I
guillotine
still can't
head roll
see.
reaction. Sorry, bro. Sorry, bro. Or
want to
person.
comment on that?
Or girl. Or non-binary. Sorry, Sib. That's better. That's better.
I favored strong mayor form of government for most of my career.
He does favor. I knew it. I knew it. He just like I favor strong mayors. I favor strong. I knew it.
North Carolina and Chapel Hill, as I
He's got that.
Knew it.
He's got that
Between
tattoo.
the lines.
That's so.
and I've been biased in that direction for a long time. But honestly, right now, I'm not so sure. I also don't want to see the powers of the council diminished. So I think I can go along with Norberto. He's a San Jose State political science alumnus, I might add. I could go along with Norberto that some tweaking is in order, but be careful with your tweaks because I don't want to see the powers of the council diminished.
I thought I said tweets. I was like, what does Twitter have to do with this?
Is really the main point of access. To
Careful with your
Always be
tweets.
careful what you tweet.
This is 100% true. Yeah.
He's just basically saying the whole like with great power comes great responsibility speech for politicians.
Is Terry Christensen Uncle Ben? What?
Basically, he's just like, if you give power to the mayor, it might take away power from the council, and that's on you. That's on you.
That's
boo.
on you.
That's on you.
Wow.
To meet those expectations for people. So sorry.
I just want to see my chat. I can't see my chat. Okay, wait. I'm gonna take a picture.
I'm so sorry. Yes,
it really
please.
wasn't wishy-washy. Thank you, Terry. It was really helpful.
If
Well,
if you
Commissioner
see
Marshman, way
me
to put our guest on
eat
the hot
like
seat,
some
but-
potatoes and some meat, like I'm
Please
sorry
keep
if
the
this
good
turns
questions
into an
coming,
accidental
Commissioner
mukbang.
Dieppe.
Let's just say that. I just got off of work.
Mukbang.
Just got off of work.
All good. All good.
Thank you for that presentation.
Hi, Amy Jo Show. Welcome, and thank you for creating an account on Twitch. Welcome, welcome.
Oh, hi,
The
Amy.
role of the council and the role of the mayor and the powers between. And I think there's a role
We
that
got
this
16
commissioner
people.
should consider, and
What?
that's of city staff.
What up,
You
16
know,
people?
How long they take to do things and what they present back to
Go
the council.
people.
You
Go
know,
people.
whenever I ask questions.
Okay,
to
so
previous,
Elena, on the top
speakers,
right
they've
corner,
kind of
you'll
driven
see a
back
little
to
arrow.
that, you know, a council should infight. A council should work together, and I agree.
Do you see it?
Consensus and
Top
you know,
right corner of your
back and
screen
forth.
in the
But then there are
black.
constraints of the Brown Act, where
It's a
in
little
12-hour
arrow.
meeting, you know, you can't really take
Next to
4 hours or
my
5
icon?
hours to hash out one particular
Below your icon, right
policy
below
item
it.
because there's an agenda of 10 items. And, you know, you can press the button to speak, but I found that if I press the button to speak more than twice, I got dirty looks. So, you know, if you can't speak and deliberate outside of the public purview, and then you have the constraints of a 10, 12-hour council meeting to, you know, go in depth, it's really rare that you're going to get
Here, I'll
the elected leaders
send the picture.
honing and crafting policy. We depend a lot on city staff and, you know, who controls the staff, the department heads and all that. So if you could just pontificate on that. And for Professor,
Makes a good point.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your first part of your last name, but Percival, Curran Percival. If you could comment a bit on, I don't dispute, there's no disputing that the fact that turnout is higher in presidential year elections.
Hey, Rachel.
And I think as a
Hi,
political
Rachel.
matter, the council as it is right now is,
I see it.
you know, is
Yay!
going to go that direction. I think when I was on the council, we had that.
Yes,
debate
I'm
and
everywhere,
the
Journal of
votes were there
Improbable
for that.
Things.
But
I
if
am
we're gonna
omnipresent
discuss it
on
as
Twitch.
I guess a qualitative matter. I mean, I do have questions about the
Yay!
quality, the quote unquote quality of the votes. How informed are the votes? If you have 4 forms and you just kind of check down just XOXOXO, do we want to kind of inject this? I don't know what to call it, but there's this kind of people who really care about who they're voting for, and then there are people who have something in front of them and just kind of mark the ballot. We can talk about ballot roll-off, but I think in that environment where the power goes or the influence goes is to special interests, to, you know, editorial boards of papers, of unions, of chambers of commerce, of police, you know, groups who send out, you know, voter guides. And so if you're not informed about something, you might just say, okay, I'm a member of this group or that group and that affiliation, and I'm just going to look at this and just go down what is recommended. These are the endorsed candidates. And I don't know if that's good for democracy overall. I get that the turnout issue is important. You want a diverse electorate.
What's bad for democracy?
I personally don't see what the constraint is.
He was
on the
basically
electorate
saying
in
that
a non-presidential
people
year
that
election. We're
aren't
not.
Thank you,
very
Commissioner
well
Jim. I wanna
informed,
get
they
to the
might
answers
just
of
go
questions.
down the
I wanna
road
encourage
God.
or
everybody to keep their
go down the
questions
page
short
and
for our
vote
speakers to keep the
whatever a
answers
voter guide tells them
succinct.
to,
We have
right?
a
So
lot of
if they
other
get something
commissioners
from
that
the
have
police, they'll be
questions
like,
too.
oh,
We'll make sure
whoa,
we get
whoa,
to
That
whoa.
is quite an assumption.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely know people that use the guys as a way of, they're just like, oh, the guy released by Black San Francisco, this is what you should do. But like a lot of those guides are like very well detailed and like they actually reference, like at least the guys that I see by activists are very well referenced, but like maybe that's just my bias. But at the
Yeah.
same time, you're right, it is an assumption because a lot of them also just do their own research. They're like, I don't understand this, and then they go into more depth, and then they figure out whether or not it aligns with their policy. So yeah, it's I think the argument that people that will end up voting are more sheep and that we don't want sheep. I'm like, I think that you're really underestimating your constituents.
They can be more effective at asserting their views and
yeah, Amy, just like it's also a voter's prerogative. Why are we trying to control how people vote instead of asking what kind of information they're asking for and responding to that?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of just providing people what they need to vote.
Support for council. I mentioned a legislative analyst to help the council with budget process. Those kinds of things could be helpful.
It's very one-sided, isn't it? Like,
so far, yeah.
Yeah.
They're all just like, no, we don't want more people voting because they won't vote how we want. They won't vote right. I pity the fool.
I pity the fool.
I pity the fool.
what's the quality.
Yeah,
of
I'm
the
gonna do a
vote,
mohawk
essentially,
next
if the
time.
vote
I can
already turned
definitely
into
pull
ideas.
off a Mr.
We
T.
don't really
Like
have,
maybe I need to order
an
sideburns.
knowledge
Like
test
I'm fine with that.
Yes.
test to
A lady
in
T.
elections to make sure voters
I think the
are qualified to
sideburns would
vote
definitely
enough
add.
to vote. We don't
Would
do
be
I'll
an
that.
just
add.
grow
We
mine
stopped
out.
doing
I
that
have to
a
shave
long
them.
time ago.
My
Since
face
the
grown them out.
Civil Rights Act, we stopped doing stuff like literacy tests. Ideally, we want
I
folks to
I
be
I don't
very
find myself in a lot of
knowledgeable
Zooms where there are this many people
but,
with their
you know, busy
cameras on,
voters don't
and
have
it's
time to
fascinating. It's like a
encyclopedic
behavioral
information
studies for
about
me.
elections. There's
So
all
it kind of
sorts
be
of
like,
ways
why
that
did you choose
rational
that
voters
virtual
can make
Yes.
background?
decisions. I've got
Like,
I have several
what do you
books,
need in your
written
life?
by professors that I had actually at UCSD who have done a lot of studies showing
Oh, Mary's
that there
Percival
are
is saying some
endorsements,
great
or
things.
newspaper endorsements, interest group endorsements,
Yeah.
all sorts of other things that help. You know, they serve as what we call information shortcuts that substitute for larger amounts of information. And you know, ideally, we would want groups, we would want the media to help increase the amount of civic information that people have, especially nowadays. But we're pretty confident that voters can make good choices, and I don't mean good like in some normative way, but good like matching their
She's
own
saying it.
political interests.
Tassi, how do
without
I
being super knowledgeable,
where would I
like
go
super
to enable people
encyclopedic
to
knowledgeable.
clip?
So
Are they
the
not
next
able
thing
to?
is, yeah, turnout
Because
would be
clips
higher.
not.
We're pretty confident that the voters could still make rational decisions.
Someone had mentioned that they weren't
The
able
other
to
thing I was
clip.
going to mention too is that we're going to have turnout that's higher, and it's going to we're going to
I
have
remember
presidential
seeing it.
elections
Yeah, I
that
thought we had
get
turned it
people
on.
pretty excited about elections, and that's going to get people.
Give me one
I
second.
believe I turned it. Oh wait, you can turn it on too, right?
I don't have access to your account, so we'll have to talk about that.
Oh, okay. I thought. Okay.
And that's a really good thing, given how much is tied to local elections. I always encourage my students.
Clips
please
found
vote
it.
in the local elections.
Look
There's
at you
so
go.
much that affects you on a daily basis,
Like that
public safety,
pothole.
planning, and land use. We really want you guys to get involved in this and not just focus.
Amy,
on
are you
state
are you
elections
are you
and
salty? You a
presidential
little salty there? I get you.
But I think
I
it's
feel that.
a thing you guys absolutely have to consider.
Yeah, go Mary.
Thank you.
I mean Percival.
So I have
Percival.
Commissioners Fuentes, Tran, Matsumura, Sanchez, Siegel, and then Marshman again. So Commissioner Fuentes.
So they're
okay.
currently going on the different hands that are raised. Chat, if you're not just joining
welcome,
us.
Mary and Terry, thank you for being here with us tonight. And Mary, your data is excellent. It was very helpful to understand the impact of the the presidential versus the other cycle on turnout and on turnout. So my question is back to the Terry, to the question of a strong mayor, and part of what I think that is our charge is to really be democracy. That's one of the things that I learned from other speakers who talked about past charter reviews and being concerned with that, and wanting to have a more democratic that we got one of the reasons that we have the district elections. So thinking, and also I like the quote that you said from Chuck Davidson, where a mayor is as strong as his political skills. So just because any mayor feels that frustrated or can't do what they want to do doesn't necessarily mean that we need to change the charter. It could mean that the person needs to, be stronger politically. They can, develop those skills. If they
Oh,
don't
that's
have them.
some shade.
But more important is,
Somebody unmute and like, oh, it's George.
in favor of a strong mayor. What do you think about our
He's
city?
like,
Because
it's not our fault.
All right, people should be able to
just not a
clip
good
now.
mayor.
the strength of the
Oh.
mayor. And we have a very strong and I would say robust district council.
Sorry,
members.
Sam.
Terry's
That's
the
what
first
someone said.
person, first
Communities
presenter
benefit from that.
actually
So in other cities
spoke out in
where,
favor
it seems that
of the strong mayor.
is more
Oh,
advantageous.
Maria is
Do they
against
have
the strong
district
mayor.
elections, and how does it work?
Or Fuentes.
Is my question clear? What I'm
Keep
trying
wanting to refer to
I-
people by last name, but then reading
yes,
their first names.
I
is
think
like,
so.
ah.
Yes, all of those cities have district elections.
Okay.
All of them have district elections.
Okay.
Some of them have much larger city councils that are like New York, Chicago. I think New York's 90, Chicago's 50, LA's 15. Well, a larger city council provides more direct representation for more people. And those larger councils are organized more like legislative bodies, like a state legislature or like a federal legislature, with stronger committees, different leadership structure, and so on. So it's different in those large cities. But I think Chicago and New York are outliers with the total number of council members. But they're all elected by district. San Francisco elected by district. They chose that before we did in San Jose. Then you may remember, Maria, they changed their minds. The voters changed their minds and went back to at-large district election, and then changed their minds again. So they've had district elections just a little bit less long than we have. I think thinking about the role of the mayor, you know, democracy is about accountability too. And how do you
It really
hold
does
somebody
just like
accountable for something
barrel
they
through.
don't have the authority to do? So if you're really
Yeah,
unhappy with
they
the
do.
mayor's
We're already
action
an
on
hour
police
in.
accountability,
Wow.
how do you hold him accountable? He can't actually do anything except what you said a few minutes ago, quoting Chuck Davidson, provide a leadership role in the city council to move the council as a whole in a certain direction. Firing a police chief is a very tough thing to do for a legislative body. They have to persuade the city manager to do it, but that's possible.
All right, thank you.
Oh, I was on mute. Was I?
Commissioner Tran.
I have to say Terry's pretty good. He will like, he's just say like he'll kind of acknowledge your point, but then he'll be like, yeah, but like my
Commissioner
point
Tran?
sounds better, and here's a 10-minute explanation
Your
of
turn for a
why.
question.
It's hard to refute, right? It's
Still
like,
muted.
okay,
The professor.
you're still muted. That's very 2020 right there.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you.
You're still muted.
You're still muted.
Commissioner
You're
Matsumoto.
still muted. What's the popular tattoo of 2020? You're still
Matsumoto.
muted.
A couple of items. One, just quickly, sort of on the concern that the votes in presidential election years, which we've established, the voters who are turning out there and not in gubernatorial years, are predominantly people of color.
Thank you.
Low income,
Thank you.
younger
I
voters.
said it. I
To
said it.
refer
I
to
said
those
it.
as
Said it. Said it.
lower
Oh,
quality
oh,
votes,
oh,
to say there's a
oh,
qualitative difference, or that they're less informed,
Ooh.
is essentially saying that those voters
oh,
have lower
oh,
quality opinions or are less informed. Now,
Hey,
I don't want to say that's what Commissioner Yep was saying.
Code of
because I
language.
think he's
Sound
just
effects,
reflecting
Cassie.
back
Right
on
there.
arguments that have been
oh
made.
yeah, let me get
But
that.
I do want to just quickly make that point because that's a very concerning argument for me,
Be-
and I hope we'll
delayed
all be
one.
keeping that
Go,
in mind
Ellie.
if that
Go,
argument
Ellie.
comes
I
up
see you,
again.
Ellie
But it raises more
Matsumara.
equity concerns if we
See her
committed to this
pronouns.
commission.
Understood, but I
Thank
would appreciate
you.
if you
I
could keep
wanna-
it to questions, because I want to make sure
Yeah,
I want to
so
hold everyone,
What?
hold everyone accountable
Excuse
to the same non-proselytizing, proselytizing
Did Terry
standards.
ask
So
a
if you
question?
have a question, love to hear that. Thank you.
No. Ellie
Yeah,
was
so
probably going
thank
to
you
get to her
the-
question. Don't interrupt Ellie.
Both for
Say
really
that.
helpful presentations. And I did have a follow-up on
Thank
the mayor.
you. She just had a
man's
long
waiting.
follow-up.
Terry, you had talked about, okay, there's, you hit a point where you need stronger
She was giving
political leadership.
context.
She
It's
was.
So I'm
important
wondering
to
if
give
you can drill
context.
down for us sort of
Lawrence,
what are the
you're
indicators
on a list
of
now.
the type of dysfunction that you would say we need stronger political leadership versus other kinds of solutions. And then, you were careful to say political leadership and that you've been talking about powers of the mayor versus powers of the council. So indicators of need for stronger political leadership and indicators that you need
We
a
should do
stronger mayor
we
versus
should
the
do a
council,
drinking
for
game. How
example,
many
that's able
times
to fire
things
the
get
police chief.
mansplained?
Because I can only think of, if you have a decision that needs to be made in less than 24 hours.
Or a
Have
tally.
you
Perhaps
seen?
you're looking
There's
for
a special.
mayor versus council.
There's a
but what else
timer
would help us
that says
assess needing
dude
a
talking,
stronger mayor
not
versus
dude
stronger
not talking.
council?
Dang, I have to find that again.
Well, the main indicators are something like political deadlock, where agreement just can't.
Who
be
sent that to me?
reached,
Send it to me again
where
if you know
issues
who I'm talking
fester and
about.
fester and fester indefinitely, because agreement can't be reached because there's deep factionalism on the city council.
I have work
because
in the
there's a
morning. What are
mayor
y'all talking
before
about?
the
Drinking
president
games?
can't pull
Oh, that's he's
mayoral
mine. He's
authority.
my boyfriend. He's on the
So
East
we're
Coast.
not there
Oh,
yet.
here I got some drinks in the
Some
channel
people think
coming
we're
up. Here we
getting
go.
closer to that, but we're not there in San Jose, where there's direct.
Shout out East
where there's
Coast.
considerable deadlock.
Go Boston. Boston.
In
Boston.
action.
Boston.
But that's what you should be looking for, and that's what tends to evolve as big cities.
He's gonna freak
grow
out. I don't say
and
Boston.
become more diverse, and the diversity gets expressed as factions in politics, and the factions
It's a
get
big
into
part of
conflict,
town.
and
It's a big town.
the result is deadlock.
Go park your car
authority
by
can
the
cut
harbor.
through that.
No, okay, that's
That's
not.
council organizing can cut through that, but it's just particularly at that point that stronger leadership, I think, in the form of an empowered mayor is necessary. When you get to
All right, thank you. So I've got Commissioners Tran, Sanchez, Commissioner Bruce, I saw your hand up earlier and now it's back up again, so I'm going to insert you there. And then Siegel and Mitski.
All right.
So
weird.
This is way more spicier than when you tuned in last week, huh?
So much spicier.
We're still having a hard time hearing you, unfortunately.
Low-key dream.
If
this program, but like half of these folks actually tune into the Twitch channel because it's way more entertaining.
Email.
I honestly think this is personal. Like, why would you?
This is the point.
Yeah.
Because we can chat. They don't enable chat on Zoom. Oh my God, can you imagine?
Thank you to both of you for the information that you brought us.
If you say park your car by the Harvard yard, by the Harvard yard 3 times, I'm pretty sure Mark Wahlberg shows up out of nowhere to chastise you.
He'd be like, why are you trying to say my town, man?
Yeah, I'm trying to learn his local dialect and it's not working out. But I can't stop.
There we go. Thank you.
That have come about or situations where that's helped the city of San Diego being as large as they are in terms of moving in that direction versus what they had before?
We're in San Diego now.
I haven't followed it closely enough to say, George. Sorry. That's okay.
Mr. Sir
And,
knows
I'll be
enough.
talking
I've
about this
not
in a minute,
followed it
but we are going to have a
closely
speaker
enough.
from San Diego that was chief of staff to a council member to talk about
Suspicious?
that transition and
so.
outcomes. So thank you for that question, Commissioner Sanchez.
Good, and that'll be a very helpful speaker.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that
Okay.
recommendation.
This is the
Professor Christensen. Commissioner Tran, any luck?
dude counter I was
I
talking
think I'm back on. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'll put
Are
it in the
men
chat.
talking
I
too
want to
much?
do that.
All right, thank you. I see the applause. I appreciate it for your support. That was a
Click
very
on it.
time.
Oh my God, here we go.
Just a quick, frank observation before we get to my question. But Professor Christensen is the first
frank
speaker who
observation here.
actually expressed even a modicum of support for strong mayor or mayor central system. So
That's right. He's the only one that's
that
expressed
perspective is
support.
appreciated so that we can, hear and evaluate all the arguments. To Professor Kern Percival, the data that you presented was quite helpful, but I'm also curious to see about how what turnout was like for the citywide propositions on the years with mayoral elections, because I'm curious to find out if voter turnout was just lower overall, or if there was or a higher rate of undervoting, or I guess drop off, whatever term is used here in presidential years. So, do you have that data available?
I don't, Commissioner, but I could get it and send it to you.
Yeah,
go Percival.
Because it'd be helpful to see if the picture, if there's a high voter turnout on the one issue matters, but still a lower vote count on the mayoral race. I think that might be another data point for us to assess here in terms of the scheduling of the elections. Also, in a letter that was sent by Peter Allen, he did give us some data showing that there were undervotes. My initial reaction to that was that if we have higher turnout overall, I mean, we can't ever 100% get rid of the quote unquote undervotes, but we have a higher general voter turnout because a rising tide lifts all boats, so to speak. Were you able to compare data at all to see what the difference is in terms of undervotes in the mayoral years versus the presidential years?
I was, and so I read the memo, and my understanding was that he was looking at also at undervote undervotes in city council elections. And so city council elections are by district. And so I'm comparing citywide races. So, or Garrick and I are comparing citywide
Sorry, I heard a
races.
cat. I
So
think it's
we
my
have
cat.
the citywide races for those
They turned off
citywide
comments
measures
for
and
the
mayoral
YouTube
races. And we
city
looked at the
stream.
undervotes.
Really?
Ballot
So we're the only ones with
in
comments
those
on. There's
citywide
8 people.
races. We
Yeah, there's 8
briefly today looked at 2020.
Interesting.
So the
people
citywide
watching,
race in
I think, on the
presidential
cities.
year, Measure G, and compared that to the mayoral race in 2018 and found it was
It was too
very,
spicy?
very
Was it too
similar.
spicy for him?
And then our previous analysis, we compared the presidential races to the mayoral races and found it was like maybe 1.5% to 2% difference. And so we haven't compared them to city council races because city council races are district-wide, they're not citywide. So comparing a citywide election, comparing a mayoral election to district elections, or comparing
Ooh,
a
kitty
citywide
cat.
measure race to district elections
Kitty. Hello.
is not what
Sorry.
we're doing. We're comparing, what do we expect
He was calling out to me.
turnout? And now, folks are very interested, of course, in ballot roll-off. What would it look like in presidential years? So it's more appropriate to compare it to another citywide race, not to a district-wide race.
Can I just
So
jump in?
oh, sorry, go ahead, Professor Kristen.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to go to your first point. You need to hear from former Mayor Tom McHenry if you want to hear somebody talk about a strong mayor form of government.
Appreciate that. Okay, so it seems then that the relevant data point here, if we were going to compare undervotes on
He's
a
like, okay, I
citywide
appreciate
basis
that.
to a citywide
Moving,
basis,
and we're moving.
because to compare the votes on the citywide propositions as well in the same year as where we're voting for mayor, and we can compare the undervotes there to see what the difference is too.
You could do that, but if you wanted to compare ballot roll-off, so ballot roll-off in a presidential year in a citywide race to ballot roll-off in a mayoral year, because one of the concerns is if you move the mayoral election to a presidential year, you're going to see more ballot roll-off. The only comparison, really, the only comparable election would be another citywide race during a presidential year, and those are those measures that we use. Measure G, for instance, in 2020. So in 2020, you could look at a citywide race, which is Measure G, and look at the ballot roll-off and compare that to the 2018 mayoral election. And if you see a huge ballot roll-off in that citywide race, you might have an argument suggesting you might see really big ballot roll-off if you move the mayoral election, but we just don't see evidence of that. But comparing
I missed that. What is the
mayoral
ballot
ballot
roll-off?
roll-off to city to district city council ballot roll-off, you're comparing apples to oranges, not apples to apples.
Okay.
Okay.
How-
Thank you,
what
Commissioner
was
Tran.
Measure
I'm gonna
D actually
move us on.
for
But if you have
2020?
additional questions, please, when you reach out to
You know,
me, and
Alina?
I'll make sure that they get answered through our guest speakers.
Sorry, I missed that.
So
What
I
was
have,
that?
What was
Commissioner
Measure
Bruce, did you
D
have
in
a question?
2020?
No, okay. So I've got Commissioners Siegel, Meitsky, and Calendar.
That I'm not familiar
Commissioner
with.
Siegel.
I would have to look that up.
Hi, thank you. This is for both of our speakers. Thank you so much for being here today. Which
You got food too.
specific additional powers do
What happened?
you think would be useful
She got
for
food.
the
She
mayor
got
of
curtain food.
a mayor of San
I got a
Jose
plate of
to
food.
have now?
It's just cheese.
A stronger
And
role in
nuts.
hiring and firing department
Get a
heads.
snack.
We gotta eat during these things.
Maybe
I
we'll
know.
do it.
My
I
my
felt- I was really
partner's
close.
my partner's making some pad thai. I'm like, I could smell it from here.
What would direct authority be?
Ooh,
Power to
noodles.
fire
Noodles.
the city manager?
It could be the
I
power.
was about to say my
power
partner
to-
could
power to fire,
DoorDash
right
some
now,
food.
Hint, hint.
It just takes a majority on the city council.
I'm kidding. I just ate,
City
so it's
manager.
fine. Go to
The
bed.
mayor
Go to
can
bed.
propose that at any time and try to get the vote, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. The other thing would probably be to expand the budget authority of the mayor.
How so
Are you done? Are
specifically?
you done, Sammy?
Right now, the mayor provides the broad guidelines with the mayor's budget statement. The council has to agree to support that. Then it goes to the city then it goes to the city manager to work out the details. The mayor's office of budget, the mayor's budget analyst, that office could be expanded to play a greater role and go into more detail on how the budget is.
Chat real quick. Falcon time. No Falcon. What a letdown.
Professor Curran Percival, anything to add?
Oh, I was going to defer to our local politics expert. I have nothing.
Oh, there's two Percivals. Why did I just
Great.
notice this?
We have Commissioner Meiske, Calendar, and then Amador. Commissioner Meiske.
Yes, thank you both for your
It might be a thing.
presentations. That
Yeah, I
actually
do
changed my
kind of miss
mind
the Falcon.
quite a bit from where I was. I have a question for Professor Christensen, actually. You may have already answered it with some of the other
Let's see if he has a
questions.
unique question.
But right now, this commission is set up to really look at should the mayor's powers be expanded. It's not really set up to say, should they be reduced and push it back more towards the council. And I was wondering, a couple of reasons why we might want to do that. One, just for due diligence, that we should be looking at all the options available here. But also, if we go back to a pure council manager form, if I get that right, it might help us lead us to what kind of leadership really is needed in terms of citywide leadership for our community. And I heard you talk about what you, in the last
Someone who listens,
speaker, you
actively
talked about
listens.
what you think should be happening, but you didn't say why. Why is that level of
equity
leadership needed? So I guess my question really is, what do you think of that approach of looking at, hey, let's push it all back to the city manager to help us kind of get a feel for this? Or is that just too far out in left field for us to look at?
Far out.
You know what? This is opinion
it's in
for
left
me,
field,
not
but
from
it's a
them.
pretty interesting question that actually I
I would
think
say
would
no.
strengthen your interest in expanding the powers of the mayor. To look at what it would be like to even further reduce the power and authority of the mayor. There's no budget role whatsoever.
I thought he was
Take away
looking at the city manager, not the mayor,
budget and public
to
information
expand the
officer, the
power.
mayor. What happens then? Then is it harder to get consensus on the council? I think the answer would be yes, but I think it's a perfectly valid way to look at the changes that may or may not.
Also,
be,
building
may or
consensus
may
is
not
about
be
having
needed.
good communication and like diplomacy skills. So
Yeah,
you can't do
appreciate
that.
that perspective. Commissioner Calendar.
All right. Good evening,
yes,
Professor Percival and Professor
but
Christensen. Definitely was very enlightening.
I don't know.
to hear
When
from
I
you.
look
Good to
at
see Professor Christensen had a
actually, let me
smooth
not
play,
interrupt the black dude.
some time. Professor Christensen, you mentioned something. You said there was 2 elected city attorneys, and you alluded to there may be some concerns or some problems with having directly elected city attorneys. So I wanted to hear one. The first part of my question is why did you believe that's problematic? And then 2, I would like you to look into your political science crystal ball and tell me what do you believe would happen if we had
Dang,
other
he really said
department heads that were elected, such as the police chief or even the police auditor.
Okay.
Okay.
So what I hear, what I've heard from Oakland, what I've heard from San Diego, and when you talk to the former chief executive for the previous mayor of San Diego, she'll fill you in on what it's like working with the city attorney. That does add an independently elected city attorney adds conflict by virtue of the fact that that's a citywide elected official, just like the mayor, but not like the district city council members. So it's much more powerful than the council members because of a larger constituency, a larger electorate. And I'm not an enthusiast of electing department heads simply because actually running a department, it's different from being a mayor and being a political leader. Actually running a department requires some expertise in what the department does. And elections don't always produce that expertise. It's hard for us as voters to know whether somebody really has the expertise to be a city attorney or police chief, and to understand what their biases might be. Bias is really important in a city attorney because there are city attorneys who will tell the council and the mayor they can do almost anything they want to do and we'll find a way to do it legally. And there are other city attorneys who will tell a council, an elected council and mayor, no, you can't virtually anything because there will be some law against it. Fortunately, we don't have that problem in San Jose, although we have had extremely conservative city attorneys who stood in the way of council and mayoral action. So I'm not an enthusiast of elected department heads. I like accountability better through the executive ranks, either to the city manager or to the mayor.
But then even
right,
that's
thank
also
you.
a counter argument for
So we have a
having
question from
chosen
Commissioner
city
Amador, and then we're
attorneys,
going to wrap up unless there's a question from somebody that
Yeah.
we haven't heard from yet
right?
tonight.
Because
We'd like
like
to
if you
make sure
have
that we have a chance to hear from everybody
city
that have
attorneys that
questions
are
before we
elected
go back.
that are chosen by an
Otherwise, we'll
elected
wrap up and
official,
move on. So
then that person
Commissioner
is more
Amador,
likely someone that's
please.
just going to fulfill their
Yes, and
agenda.
this is towards the data that was shown. I just want to
You
know
totally hit
more
the
if
hypocrisy
we
there.
just say that the vote that
Yeah, I
shows a
mean,
little bit more on the
that argument goes the other way a lot more.
increase
It's
when we put it
basically
with the
assuming that politicians are completely honest
presidential
and biased
election.
people.
But is there some data that tells us that we know that some districts
Pure
do
of heart
include
individuals.
more
Pure
communities
heart.
of color and
Uncorruptible.
more low-income communities, renters? Is there data that represents that those districts did also have a higher turnout when it came to that?
So a higher turnout for the citywide measure by district?
Yes.
I don't have that, but I can contact the registrar of voters to see if I can get that. And it may actually be by precinct, but I can definitely.
I really
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
just went to a place where I imagined all of these amazing adults as like 12-year-olds. Like if we could snap and they'd be their 12-year-old self, like what would they be talking about?
City council as well as the city manager. So my question is, if strengthening the role of the mayor results in a weakening of the role of the city manager, could you foresee the possible unintended consequences of either city administration or individual department head becoming more political as a way to respond better to the stronger mayor than they currently do to the city manager? And would that be a probably good thing or a bad thing? Your thoughts on that?
Oh, well, that's certainly a possibility. And you see that in some other cities that have a strong mayor form of government where the department heads themselves are pretty political. Frankly, we've seen that in San Jose under a council manager form of government in the past, not in the last decade or so. So that happens. It could happen, and it could be a shortcoming, and it could not necessarily be a bad thing if they're responding to constituents that the mayor's trying to satisfy on services rendered by the departments in question.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Zhao.
My question is to
So do you want to
Professor
make a public
Percival.
comment?
And thanks for the analysis. I learned a lot from
Or
it.
no.
So I just, while I'm listening, I did a very quick check on the election results. So I compared the district results for the district council election and on the same year. So each district turnouts are actually very different. It could be for various reasons. But overall, I think the election, the president election year, the overall results could be higher. But my question is, during the presidential election, because the heated the election, it results everything, the voter reach out cost to be a lot higher. So if we move the mayoral election to the presidential election, which means the election cost will be high because you have to use all means to reach out to the voter. It's not going to be counting on two legs.
But
So
what kind of means do we reach when it's not a presidential
can we,
election?
balance?
Like, how do
Because I
have to-
understand that we have to reach out to the underserved communities, those voters.
Yeah, it's kind of
and,
like trying to get a
the
spot
people,
on the Super Bowl
candidates
ads.
have the less
So yeah, it is
financial
more expensive, but at the
advantage,
same time, it's still important.
will
Probably get a lot more visibility
will be
too.
harder to reach out.
Yeah,
So
you
is
do
there
get a lot more
any
visibility,
suggestions,
but
or is
also
there,
why is it so
how do
expensive
we
to
solve
reach
that problem?
reach voters? And who's controlling that market?
Right.
It's an excellent point, Commissioner. I'm going to circle back to something that Terry said. Absolutely, the media should pay more attention to local races, and absolutely during presidential year pay more attention to the mayoral race.
Here we are paying attention.
You need people like us to make it exciting.
Face a disadvantage in
guess, I don't
elections,
know.
and that
Yeah.
we know in all types of elections. So the mayoral race, we will
No,
expect
they
is
do.
going to be more expensive if moved to the presidential years, but it's probably going to get more attention from the media, and will certainly encourage media and all sorts of get out the vote organizations, all sorts of civic organizations like the League of Women Voters to remain actively involved in local elections, and especially during the presidential year. So that might help subsidize the cost of information for voters. So the recommendation that I would make for candidates is you will have to reach out farther for voters, but you're going to reach a more diverse electorate. And so you're going to be represented, or you're going to be elected by a more representative electorate. And therefore, when you serve in office, you can claim that you have that you've been elected by more of San Jose, essentially, that the policy that you recommend, the policy that you help to enact on behalf of the voters, really represents more of the people. So I think it's more of a democracy argument. I mean, that's one of the recommendations I would give to the commissioners, is that it's really more of a democracy argument. Yes, elections will be more expensive for individual candidates, but the elections themselves will be more representative and more democratic.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I was going to ask your wrap up thoughts, President Christensen.
I just want to add to that. Sure. In gubernatorial elections, we should remember that we're not only electing a governor, but 7 other statewide officials. So there's an awful lot of campaigning and an awful lot of spending going on in those years. Actually, more campaigning and spending in California than there is in presidential campaigns, because presidential candidates don't campaign here. They suck up the media, and that's really important, and our attention is drawn to them. But remember, in the gubernatorial years, there's an awful lot more going on in actual campaigns. I would just add one other point. You might want to think about the size of the council at some point. If you do go to if you do move towards a strong mayor system, in almost all of those systems, the mayor no longer sits and votes as a council member. So you would have to add at least 1 seat to the city council to make it 11 and an odd number. So you don't.
We're also doing redistricting right now.
Could add a couple more seats. It would enhance representation.
Is in charge of adding,
smaller. They're over 100,000,
if necessary, another seat to the district.
Big. So
interesting.
Council districts might be something you want to consider along the way. The redistricting commission will not be considering that. Their specific charter
there you go.
is to redistrict 10 districts only. So that's a completely separate issue from redistricting. And with that, I'll conclude. And thank you all for your service. I will continue watching and listening to what goes on with the commission. And I'm happy to answer questions.
Why he acting like he's in charge of the meeting and about to end it?
So thank you all.
Great. Thank you, Professor Christensen. Thank you, Professor Curran Percival.
He's a
and I also want to thank.
He's a professor, so you know there's
that's why.
Homework.
We felt it best to have Professor Curran Percival present, but his efforts I don't want to go unthanked. So hope to be in touch with you both again. If there's questions, we'll forward them your way. And thank you all for the great questions. I think this was a really helpful session. I'm going to turn it back to the chair.
Thank you, Professor Christensen and Professor Curran Percival. We really appreciate you being with us tonight. I will now
all right, now it's about
comments from the public
comment.
And,
oh, this is good. Cynthia, you gonna raise your hand? I don't know. What am I gonna say?
Speaker.
What do you want to say?
Robert Brownstein.
Is this Blair?
I think my main
former city
comment-
manager.
Good evening
employee.
again. Unfortunately, I have to disagree with my good friend, Dr. Christensen. I agree that as cities get
he's
bigger
bringing it
and
back.
diverse, it's more difficult to craft a representative
Huh?
solution to public policy problems.
I'll raise my
But I
hand.
absolutely disagree with the notion that those conflicts disappear if you have a strong mayor who can ignore the challenge of trying to craft a representative solution. What you often get when you have that kind of unwillingness to do the work to craft a representative solution is things like you see in San Francisco and Oakland, which is ballot box budgeting, which is and have the voters do the budgeting for the city. And if you want to see incredible messes in terms of how public finance is done at a local jurisdiction, check that out. Everybody can find an attractive proposal to put on the ballot and pull parts of the budget to be used to fund that because the mayors were unwilling or unable to do the work to come up with consensus solutions. I think the reality is mayors with leadership skills, mayors with drive, mayors who will do the work can put these representative solutions together. And perhaps the solution is to make sure that we elect people who have these capacities, and we may be better able to do that if we change the dates of the election. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brownstein. Next speaker.
The next speaker is the caller that ends with the number 5140. Speaker 40. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I used to believe that there shouldn't be a city manager because the city manager was a bureaucrat.
Oh, should we tell
But
them that
given
they're on
what
only
I've seen
SJ
with Sam Licardo, I almost want to get rid of the mayor's
and that we're
office
reporting on the
altogether.
meeting?
And I
You
don't
guys
want
hear
to see him have any more power. He has enough
Mhm.
power already.
Should we tell them that
He
they're on?
orchestrated the stand down.
That we're reporting on their meeting.
Having the police officer.
They're like, can you-
Amy says yes.
Please explain yourself.
The counter protest during a Trump rally in 2016. He orchestrated that. He was forced to apologize.
I'll leave it up to you.
Because he gave the directive
like, yeah,
to have 250 officers stand down and not arrest people who were assaulting Trump supporters. Now, I don't expect people to love Donald Trump, but imagine what kind of power he had to do that. And where did he get that idea from? Hillary Clinton? I don't know. But I do know that I want
Why
to Sam
throw in
Licardo
a
out of
name?
politics forever. I would never, ever want to have a strong mayor, especially in this town, because it's bad enough already, as much as I hate a city manager government. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Blair Beekman.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for this item today. It sounds like you're starting to ask a bit more questions about what exactly a strong mayor can be. And it's sad for myself, but it's important to have good opinions on both sides of the issue. And it's my real belief that we're headed towards a process. I mean, Mayor Licardo wanted things like the strong mayor to have developmental power, a singular developmental power to talk with development agencies and the like. I don't think we're going in that direction with the future of a strong mayor. I think a strong mayor is going to help decide the future of city manager's role and those sort of responsibilities. It's a more refined effort that I hope we'll be working towards in San Jose. I think the concept of a city manager council is incredibly important. In fact, I would like to call that process a city council community process that we're working towards in our future and better developing from 1985 and all the way back, basically. Good luck in our efforts in what we can do. I think it is the community and it is the council that's the focus. It's the ideas of democratic practices. It's asking for majority votes of the firing of people and those sort of issues. That's the kind of refinement I'm talking about. And it's not the future of how the mayor can have a developmental power with development agencies. I mean, power with development agencies. So, that's an important thing to recognize how we talk about the future of the mayor process, I think. Thank you. I have serious questions about the future of this public process that I hope I can bring up at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beekman. Next speaker.
Omar Torres.
I need to tell Blair about this.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for your service to our city. It's always great to hear from Professor Christensen. By the way, he's my colleague. So hello, Professor Christensen. My name is Omar Torres. I'm Deputy Chief of Staff for Councilmember Magdalena Carrasco, who authored the proposal to move our mayoral election to the presidential cycle. Easy and accessible voting has always been one of many social justice issues of our lifetime. Across the country, we are seeing direct assaults on voting and participation at all levels of government. We have seen that COVID-19 has disgustingly exposed inequities in our most vulnerable
This is
communities.
the first time I've heard
including at
somebody from
ballot
the
box.
staff
Councilmember
come public
Carrasco
speak.
hopes that this commission takes the lead in making sure we have greater participation from our beautiful and diverse San Jose community. San Jose must set the example. We celebrate greater participation. We need equity at the absentee ballot box for our San Jose residents. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. Next speaker.
Neymar Strategies.
Hey there, sorry, that's the business name. This is Peter Allen, former planning commissioner. Very good to see you all, commissioners. Thanks so much for the time tonight, Chair Ferrer. I would absolutely not argue with the fact that voter turnout on the whole in presidential years is not significantly higher than it is in gubernatorial years. I would, however, with all due respect to our political scientists in the Zoom, take issue with the notion of apples to apples comparisons in their analysis when you're looking at their chart, which compares a 2018 mayoral, fairly well uncontested mayoral election in the June primary to a ballot measure on the November 2020 ballot, where we had almost record levels of turnout, at least in recent memory. So I just want to point out that numbers can be crafted and moved around to make a point, and I think you should take a look at that. But that being said, I would like to go back to something Dr. Christensen said earlier, which is what is the problem you were trying? Think about the problem you're trying to solve, and think about the power of the charter to solve that problem. If you were going to move the mayoral election, I think that's fine if you're also considering empowering the mayor more, because then the position does have a little more importance. But absent that, if you move the mayoral election to gubernatorial years, you're basically saying that districts 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 matter less, and that the voters, the infrequent voters, the people of color, the young voters who are not voting in those elections, their voices matter somehow less in electing their district representative, when in fact, a district representative is just another vote, and you need 6 votes to get anything done in the city. So I would make that small point. And then also moving this election to the presidential year, or any of the elections to the presidential year, would not make it easier to vote. It would not increase access. You would still have the same access to the ballots. We really have to examine why people are not voting, why there is an undervote, why there is a ballot drop off, as has been referenced earlier. If we can address that, I think we'll solve a lot more than just simply moving the election date. Thanks very much. Have a great night.
Boom, man. I was like, here's the mic.
Jeffrey Buchanan.
Yeah, I don't completely agree with his argument, but I agree with the conclusion that we do need to focus more of our figuring out why people don't vote and trying to eliminate those barriers.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think the premise has less to
That's
do with
worthy of
people
public
being-
comment.
Yeah, I think the premise has less to do with people being less educated, more that like there might be more systemic barriers at play between presidential elections and like during presidential elections. Like we said, like you get the 4 hours paid time off.
Right. Well, I don't know if you've seen the movie Gangs of New York. There's a scene in there where the desperation to get the votes was so high in New York that didn't really matter. They were just like, they would redress voters, physically redress them so they look like someone else so they could vote again. So like base instinct of like desperation, right? Like I feel that translates
the
still.
entire city of San Jose, trying to have an electorate that's better representative of young voters, of renters, of people of color, of non-native voters, of individuals who are lower income, or who have
I got my hand
completed
raised.
lower levels of
Going in.
education.
Yay.
All these are underrepresented, and
I'm going to mention what you mentioned too, Cynthia, but you feel free to raise your hand too.
No, I
Anybody,
did. I don't know
either
when
of
you're
you
going
can
on.
join
to
in.
be
That's part of. Oh,
underrepresented
awesome.
in terms of our elected officials. And so certainly appreciate the comments by Mr. Torres earlier on behalf of Councilmember Carrasco at a time when we're seeing so many attacks and efforts around disenfranchisement. Shouldn't we be trying as a city of San Jose to be strengthening our democracy, having more representation, bringing those estimated 148,000 additional voters into the process that the commission continues to act on.
Thank you, Mr. Buchanan. Next speaker.
Roland?
All right, let me type my little.
Thank you, Mr.
little
Chair.
speech here.
So what I'd like to do is to follow up on this conversation we had last time about the firing of a former city manager at Chicago. And I did, study it in more detail. And what I found out, and I'm sure all of you also did if you also studied the situation, is that Commissioner Lazot was essentially absolutely correct about how this happened. Mayor-elect Ricardo had lined up sufficient support on council to put forward a resolution that, if passed, would have resulted in the firing of the city manager. Very simple. And the only reason this never went to council is because Ed Chicago, knowing that basically, he was going to get booted out, resigned. And that's why it never went to council. So it seems to me unclear as to why we need a stronger mayor than what we already have, since essentially he can, line up sufficient council members to basically get the job done. And quite frankly, at the end of the day, that's what democracy is all about. Now, the other thing about, aligning the mayoral elections with the presidential
Are these city
elections,
council members or charter
as
review
I
members?
pointed to you last time,
Commission members?
the question
These
in
are
front of
charter.
you, what's going to
They're charter
happen
review
in
commission
the
members, so they're
two
just regular San
intervening
Jose
years?
residents.
Are you going to be extending
point.
Mayor Ricardo's tenure as a mayor for another 2 years? Or are you just going to be electing somebody else for 2 years? And that's my 2 cents for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Roland. Next speaker, please.
Cynthia?
Go Cynthia.
Let's go.
Sweet. Y'all hear me? All right.
Yes.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hello, Charter Review Commission humans. My name is Cynthia in public. I am a local producer, small business owner, comedian, and I'm currently broadcasting live with Only in San Jose on Twitch. I listened to this entire meeting, and there was a lot of back and forth regarding the Strong Mayor Initiative, moving mayoral elections to presidential election years, and I think that we're looking at a lot of these issues backwards. Rather than focusing on some of the logistical issues that come with these changes, I think it's important to certain these decisions on the people that it impacts. So based on the data that Percival has presented, I think that it's important to continue to compile that data and focus on the really achieving the outcome we desire, which I think we can all agree on is a greater representation of our very diverse population of San Jose and strengthening our democracy. In addition to that, I think we need to place a stronger focus on addressing the potential systemic reasons why people don't vote between presidential elections. It could be related to, hey, they don't get 4 hours to pay time off, they're not going to vote. Or maybe there's not as many voting booths or access to a lot of these things that are more accessible during presidential years. I just wanted to make that comment. I'm interested to hearing more. And I just want to emphasize that at the end of the day, we're all trying to represent the people of San Jose. So we should be working hard and trying to figure out how the solutions that we come up with can better increase representation during voting, as well as increase representation of our very diverse pool of constituents. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I was so nervous. I screwed up. I screwed up on words.
6 and former candidate for San Jose City Council.
No,
we
you
left
killed
the conversation around focusing on voter turnout
Woo!
and wanted to expand
Hold on, my cat.
what we're looking
Yes,
at,
comfort.
particularly
Kitty
around
cat.
Peter Allen's clarification of the difference.
This is why you
between
came
a
with the
primary
mustache,
and a
Cynthia. Let's
general
go.
turnout. There are multi-choice voting systems
Oh,
out
thank
there,
you, Amy
ranked
Jo
choice
and
voting,
Emily
star voting,
and
approval
Joy.
voting, that would allow us to circumvent a primary election. To me, this has a big equity improvement. Not only can voter turnout between a primary and a general improve between 50 and 100%. The District 4 race, doubled. It was 100% voter turnout increase. The District 6 race was 50% increase.
He is such a baby.
But it also shortens the cycle for candidates, meaning they have to raise less money and take less time off of work away from their families, which can lead to a higher caliber candidacy or options represent the community itself and the people that should be qualified and are qualified to do so in representing their community. So I'd like to suggest that we open up some of the TBD research on voter turnout to those types of models. I think we'll see a lot more of empowerment as well as people understand that they have many different choices for candidates and not just the lesser is of two evils, which is a common phrase, particularly among disenfranchised non-voters, I would say. So wanted to make that my 2 cents for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Conkle. Next speaker.
Andy Perry.
Wow. So is this for
Hello,
the rest of the evening that they like
this
take
is Sandy
in?
Perry. I'm with the Affordable Housing Network.
No, so they do it in a few parts. So this is one section, and then they'll have one more in the end.
Oh.
And the very first meeting, January 11th, the only two people that attended were me and Jake, and we spoke.
Whoa.
And this is probably like one of the most I've seen in public comment that we've had. So that's great.
It's kind of good. Like people are actually interested in tuning in on this stuff.
All these state legislatures. So I think it's appropriate that we're having this discussion here today. And I strongly favor the election of the mayor during presidential years. That certainly the issues that Affordable Housing Network works on, such as housing, homelessness, rent control, and these are the issues which impact more than other people, even the people of color, low-income people, youth. These are the people that are most affected by some of the most important decisions that the city council makes, and these are all influenced by the mayor and the role that the mayor plays. So we strongly support switching the mayoral election to the presidential years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Next speaker.
Alina.
Alina, let's go.
Hi, I'm Alina. Hi, I'm Alina here. Firstly, I would really like to thank Commissioner Matsumura for bringing up on how we speak about voters. And I think if there's anything to be said about whom is less informed and more informed, I think we also need to think about, the amount. I think some commissioners have brought up there's a lot of coverage of the presidential. So that means there's a lot of material. And also, we need to understand the language barriers and the access to civic process, especially as we're going through this and we've been debating about language translations. Demographically, certain communities, especially non-English speakers, have less resources to participate in these between elections. And like my co-host Cynthia said, it's about bringing more of the San Jose representation. And for everybody else listening, there's a group of us on twitch.tv/onlyansj. And we're in a chat and we're talking about this, so feel free to join the discussion. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Yeah, what?
Alina was our last speaker.
Woo!
Thank you very much.
Are you all right?
Alina
I will
took
now
it
move
and then
us
dropped
to
the mic.
our old business, which is the update from staff. Tony, I'm going to start with you.
Hey, that's my co-host, y'all. That's my co-host. That's my co-host.
Turn on my camera.
Just trying to see if there are any like chests heaving in the Zoom, like we're on the show.
To the public record, which is the normal process for boards and commissions letters. And then that was moved to the actual.
Oh, if
rules
anyone
agenda
missed some
for
of the public
discussion last
comments, you
week.
could probably
And with
rewind on
no
YouTube.
discussion.
Are we still live on YouTube?
It was just moved to
Or
council.
no,
for
we
next
said
week.
no
So
YouTube, right?
there's nothing to update you on anything they may have
Oh,
said.
we are. Okay, let me get the YouTube
regarding your
link.
letter.
Yeah, this will also get saved as a highlight on this channel to be rewatched later, and I'm recording locally.
No, we're
so
still live on YouTube.
Attended that meeting and spoken in favor of our request. I appreciate both times folks being there to support us. And it was unanimously passed out of the Rules Committee that I appeared before, so which is good. And now we'll go to the April 27th.
Oh, I just
city
realized
council
everyone could see
meeting,
me put my legs
for
on
the
my back.
discussion and
It's
vote
like,
as
it's
well.
like a sloth.
City attorney, Mark.
Hey, we're living in real life. It's okay.
I was just like getting
I've
comfortable.
nothing to
Like,
report,
wait,
unless
I'm
there's
not.
any
I'm
specific
not.
gotta
questions
eat.
that anybody has for me.
Ooh, Amy Jo
Yeah, I
says,
don't think
watch the
there's,
tone change
I'm not sure
because
we had
they
anything
know
for
they're
Mark,
being
but
watched.
Tony was
Oh,
going to speak
okay.
to the process for holding public hearings and subcommittee rules.
Right, okay, subcommittee.
This is important.
There's two different types of subcommittees. There's standing subcommittees and then there's ad hoc subcommittees. Ad hoc subcommittees, and Mark can correct me if I'm saying any of this wrong. You can create a subcommittee that doesn't need staff. So if you want to have, 3 people, it needs to be less than a quorum to look at a particular topic. To say we want 3 people to look at just moving the mayoral election. We want 3 people to look at if we move the mayoral election, how do we handle the next mayor term? Is it going to be a 2-year term or a 6-year term? And they can meet without an agenda. They can meet without me. They can meet without minutes taking. They can just meet on their own and then come back and report to the commission. That would be that an ad hoc subcommittee needs to be limited in term to less than 6 months. You guys are pretty much not going to be much more than 6 months at this point, but ad hoc subcommittee needs to be limited in term. A standing subcommittee, if you were to create one, we're going to have this subcommittee and it's going to go for the entire length of our time. That still requires staff. It requires an agenda. It requires minutes. So we tend to ask commissions to not do standing subcommittees because a standing subcommittee is just as much work as the committee of a whole. But ad hoc subcommittees can be really useful to have a couple people who maybe are really interested in one portion of your work plan and they really want to get together and talk it through and come up with some ideas or to be able to do extra research and report back. So that's one of the options you guys would have if you want to do some sort of subcommittees. Again, we don't really want you to do a standing subcommittee because it's just as much work for us versus an ad hoc subcommittee.
I see some hands up. Is this a question for the clerk? So Commissioner Matsumura, Commissioner Posadas, Commissioner Zhao.
If
all have
Terry
your
starts
hands up.
talking, I'm getting
Commissioner
ice cream.
Matsumura.
Is Terry still here?
Thank you. I just wanted to. I have
Terry
a
has left the
question
building, I think.
regarding the budget, but it sounds like we should close out the subcommittee discussion before coming back to that.
All right, thank you. I'll come back to you. I see everyone's hands down again, so we're good. Okay, so Commissioner Matsumura, you can ask your question about budget.
I just want to make sure we also hear from the clerk about public hearings, because we wanted to start thinking about what a future public hearing would look like and what the commission needs
That's
to
Lawrence
consider
doing his
when
job.
planning for that
Keeping on the,
hearing, whenever it is.
the bullet points.
Okay, so for public hearings, this itself is like a public hearing. All members of the public can attend, they can speak, they can raise their hand. And the public hearings we do for salary setting commission is we'll set up a meeting that's just to hear from the public. So maybe give them the materials, and we want to hear what you want to say about this topic. And we don't
Ooh,
necessarily
what materials?
engage.
That's what I'm wondering. I was
in
like,
a
oh, we got a
discussion and
packet?
action
Oh,
item.
cool.
So that's one type of public hearing. There's different types. So
Welcome
that's what we do
packet.
for salary setting commission. Or what we used to do.
I think I
in
have
salary
a
setting commission.
maybe I feel like I have a delay on mine.
You
but
do.
I don't
You have like a
know how to fix
So
that.
they would have
2 to
a
3 second
public
delay.
hearing in the north, central, and south part of San Jose. We'd send out invites through the council offices. And then people would come and we'd have the commission sitting there, and people would just say, we
You could
think
maybe
the
try to
council's
refresh if
overpaid
you
or
need to.
underpaid. We think this.
We
and
don't
they
know
would
if
just talk.
she's talked about the agenda packet. We
Another
just,
type of public
we just
hearing is
heard
what you
that
see at the
there's
council
materials.
meetings, where it would be part of
If
the
I do-
agenda, like tonight.
Hopefully it's not
It
like a
would be
Refresh
part of
while I-
the special time. We would just mark it as a public hearing.
I will leave,
And
but
it would be
I'll
the
come
same
right
kind
back
of
and it
thing
won't
where
mess
you're
up
coming and you're getting
All right.
their input.
Yeah, I don't
we'll
think
be
so.
waiting for you.
So if you're interested in, and then there's the other public hearing is that, like, once you have a recommendation and you're kind of like, we think we
I'm
want
gonna-
to
I'm gonna
go
refresh.
with
I'll be
this
right back.
type of structure with this
right.
action date and this adjustments to power. And then you have that sort of all written and packaged together. Then you invite the public to come in where they have something to read, something to look at, something to comment on. If we wanted to do a public hearing now, I would say, like, what do you need fixing? But generally our public
All right,
hearings,
I'm
you
back.
have something in front of them. So I feel like there's so
Right.
many different types of public hearings. I'm confusing everybody.
I feel
that's
like
helpful.
I
And,
almost want public.
Tony, you had mentioned.
I mean, there's one
a
thing to
few
have
points in the
public
past,
hearings where,
location
you know, they're
that you
not
might do something
allowed to say
around.
anything and
Is
the
there any
public can directly
requirements?
comment.
I guess it's
But
a
I'd
two-part
almost
question.
be
Since we're
interested in
Zoom right now,
where we could
do you
have like a
anticipate
back and forth
continuing to
conversation.
Zoom
Because I feel like
hearings
oftentimes,
for the foreseeable
like
future?
I remember a few, like last year, it was just a lot of people logging in and yelling at the mayor for two minutes and the councilman, and then logging off. There wasn't like a actual dialogue between the public. And I wonder if in that case we could turn them off, that they can't respond, you know? I don't know.
The turn the commissioners off.
Yeah, like not, I mean, yeah, it's their job to sit there and listen to us, but at the same time, I wonder if just having a bunch of people come in like for 2 minutes, like, you know, like there's a difference between like hearing someone and listening to someone, and then oftentimes when I think listening happens is when there's a dialogue back and forth and there's the chance to ask questions and all this lead in. So
Check for understanding.
yeah. Joy is saying it like a small breakout group. Like I think that would kind of, I don't know how that would work, especially because like we want to make sure that like a lot of special interests just like don't hog all the time.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to have that sort of dialogue.
Yeah, and that might be a good suggestion for maybe public comment for like the subcommittees. Could the subcommittees be broken out to just be listening sessions? That's an opportunity.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, they just, I think, you know, they run the risk of, I think what they do fairly well here is have that 2-minute timer where you can kind of say your piece, right? Like if there was a timekeeper for each one of those, that would be great. Obviously, that doesn't make it for a very organic conversation, but I don't necessarily think that's the point, right? It's just so that you have like small bits of information that you can take, assimilate, and like disseminate.
I mean, you can give them
45 seconds. You can probably put a case down, you know, for something if you're having a conversation.
And when it's Zoom, it's pretty much like me and IT.
And just last question. As far as time.
Good night, Street Ski. Thanks for hanging out.
Good night, Chris.
Good night, partner of Cynthia in public.
Good night.
Send me ice cream.
10-day notice out.
Thanks for
Go
joining.
to sleep. Just go to sleep.
Yeah, 10 day. Because it's a pretty standard public hearing notice time. You can also do 30 days. 30 days requires us to really know well ahead that you guys are going to be ready. So if you say, we think by July 15th, we're going to have something substantial for the public to come and look at, we can notice it out 30 days. But we generally want to do 10 days out, because you tell me tonight, we want to have a public hearing, you know, in 2 weeks tonight. I've got to create the public hearing. I've got to get it out there. It's really ends up only being a week to a week and a half that people can see. They can't plan for it ahead of time. So we try to have everything ready for 10 days. So like if you direct me 2 meetings out, we can make sure we've got everything written properly and it can plan the outreach.
Okay.
Cheers to my
let's move
co-host.
forward
It's
because
about
I
time.
want to get to the changes that we've made in the work plan as well.
Cheers,
so
cheers.
that this will come up again in terms of
Cheers.
Thank you, Tony, because that'll help us
Cheers.
make some decisions around calendaring. We have a proposal tonight around what this might look like, especially given the calendar, the way it's kind of moving forward.
I was just drinking
But first, I'd like
pomegranate juice.
Lawrence to walk through the government's
You're so pure.
summary
You're so
document
good.
that he's adapted.
I'm all like, this beer tastes good at the pad thai, so
Did you want to go back
I'm
to
not gonna say
Commissioner
no.
Matsumura's budget question first? Yeah, no problem.
Still saw your hand. Commissioner Matsumura, about the budget, sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. So regarding the funding request that's going to City Council on April 27th, I would imagine that City Council would be looking for some guidance or analysis either from staff or the commission about specific numbers or how the funding is going to be allocated. Obviously, we've provided some analysis and discussion on that, but I wanted to find out from the staff and chair, if possible, what, if any, plan is there to provide this kind of information to City Council?
The budget office is working on a memo with me. So the budget office itself is doing all of that background stuff that you're talking about. They're getting the numbers from me. They're formulating all of that.
I think the other thing is that the office has to look for where these dollars would come from.
Right.
Because it's an unallocated budget item. So that's what they're doing. And they said they'd be ready to come back on April 27th.
So
But thank you to everybody.
when they first
submitted
created this commission
materials
back
and
last
ideas
summer,
and costs,
a lot of the
along
council
with the
members were
clerk's
talking
numbers.
about
I think
equity and
that'll be
inclusion and how a
example
process with the community is so important. But they did not allocate any dollars for language translation services. And so this is kind of one of the big challenges that the commission is trying to work on. And so next city council meeting, April 27th, we have a memo going to council asking them to give us some money. And so that's another opportunity for those of you listening to tune in to give public comment and speak about why it's so important to have money for translations and how it directly impacts equity and inclusion.
Right.
Oh yeah, you know what? We gotta start popping in the Zoom link at the front of this in case y'all want to give a public comment at the end.
Yeah, we can do it right now too.
That is true.
Oh yeah, we still have we're going till 9, right?
Let me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a last call for public comment, so.
Never mind.
Council, mayor, city manager, and I tried to break
There
out
we go.
some basic subcategories.
We'll definitely have to debrief Elena and Cynthia about like what worked, what didn't work, and stuff.
And then the power authority they have over appointments, policy, budget, and implementation. And also as an updated cheat sheet or the chart that we've been updating as a living document. Thank you all for sending along.
He straight up said cheat sheet.
Tried to include this the best I could.
Normalize cheat sheets. That's why we use calculators.
Sections called out with the actual verbiage from the charter. So this is a living document. You also notice, that under each section there is an in practice bullet that is waiting, and I want to thank Commissioner Lazat for spending some time sending me a red line version of this document.
Joy.
That includes some, initial thoughts about
I feel like this could be a fantasy football situation. We all got to choose our commissioner and get some points.
Oh, my team wins.
Yeah.
So there will be a revision to this document in the follow-up.
Ooh, draft picks.
Yeah, right.
But hopefully this is a good.
You know what? That'd be a really cool game to like play, like leading up to an election. Just like have like a fantasy like football team, but like it's our fantasy election team.
Please send them my way.
Oh yeah, like this would be my dream council.
Yep.
Dude, that'd be so much fun.
So
I can see.
How do we do that?
Yeah, right.
Let's put a pin in it.
Dude, I would be down. We need to talk to some game hosts or like people that do games, like.
Should do like
website. Actually, it's more website.
should do like a bingo too. Charter Review Commission bingo, and we just like have people print out their bingo sheets.
Starting to talk a little bit about how recommendations are brought to the commission, how subcommittees might be involved.
Accountability, representation, and inclusion subcommittee.
Like in our general,
But it's just one bullet
proposal to
point.
you
It
all,
doesn't
the
have any
approach that we're
details.
recommending
Come on, Lawrence.
Is this. First of all, we want to make sure that the precious time that this commission has in their full meetings is used as well as possible. And so we want to leverage the subcommittee structure, probably the ad hoc version of subcommittees, as the city clerk mentioned, to help basically develop recommendations for consideration for the full council. We've heard a lot of different ideas. We've heard input from the public. We'll hear more input from the public, but really want to create subcommittees that can help to build these ideas out and before they're brought, and even vet them to make sure that they actually can happen before they're brought to the
Free
commission.
square, yes,
The
Joy.
subcommittees that we're proposing are basically mirror the three different buckets that we've been talking about: governance structure, timing of
Oh my God, we
elections,
can even
and
play a
accountability,
drinking game.
representation,
I don't
and
know, just like
inclusion.
if this
So
person
the
says
thinking
they're
here is
on
I
that we
think
would
we
have
might
one
need to do
subcommittee for
that.
each of these. We would ask commissioners which subcommittee that they're interested in joining, if any. It's not a requirement, but if there's a particular issue that excites you and you're interested in doing some more research or having conversations with other commissioners, then we would welcome your continued involvement to start to really pick up the pace about how we're starting to think about these issues and bring more fully fleshed out ideas back to the commission for consideration. These subcommittees would need to be less than quorum, and we would probably, although we don't need staff
So
to
less than
be
quorum
present,
is
the
just
chair
less
and I
than
have spoken
majority. So
about,
there's
at the very
23,
least,
so that would be have
supporting
to
subcommittees
less than 12.
either by the
think.
chair, vice
Yes.
chair, or myself.
I'm not good at math.
Or potentially Mary Ell,
That makes
my
sense.
colleague
That
who's
makes
taking on some of these calls, to be there just to help to build capacity for facilitation, and make sure the conversation is productive and fruitful, and at least to get things started. But we'll see how that goes. The subcommittees, basically, there's been something that's been brought up a few times about sort of what are you looking to change, and so I put together here a recommendation
Democracy
process.
for
Basically
everybody.
a process to bring proposals for recommendations that have been really thought through more than just a potential
Community
idea.
engagement.
So
I want to change that.
one of the ideas that came
we
up
need to
tonight
have
would be
better
the
community
ability for
engagement.
the mayor to fire the city manager himself or herself, and that's a great idea in and of itself, or not, but we won't know until we really think through what the implications of that idea are. So what we're proposing here is basically a set of criteria for commissioners or the general public, should they want to submit a memo.
How's the
would help,
Falcon Cam doing?
expedite the
Oh,
consideration
yeah.
of
Yeah, oh my God,
recommendations.
thank you so much. Oh my
But
God.
for a particular idea,
I was
we're
struggling.
proposing that the
Yeah, I was
commission
Let's see. Falcon Cam
Sorry,
in 3.
Lawrence. Sorry.
Yeah.
No,
BRB
this
Lawrence, we gotta check on our Falcon.
Peace, Lord. Peace.
Oh no, Falcon! It's out of there.
Wait,
All right,
no, I'm not seeing it yet. It's coming up.
Oh, whoa!
No.
Yeah. Oh,
Let me. Okay.
it looks like an egg.
I'm pretty sure it's an egg. Oh wait, no, he's back.
Oh,
He's back.
there
He's
it
back.
is.
He's back.
Yay! Falcon
Or she,
Cam.
because she's the
Oh
one
yeah,
nesting.
because it's yeah.
Do you
I
think
mean-
she talks to the egg like humans talk to the baby in the womb? It's just like telling it like positive affirmation. You can do it.
Yeah, I think it is a night cam, Joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, the sun's already gone down. It's in black and white. I mean, we did read on those Falcon facts at the start of the broadcast that it's majority the female Falcon that looks after the egg, and every once in a while the dad helps out, even though they both produce the egg.
Mm.
It's like a dad saying, "I'm babysitting my own child." I'm like, It's your child. What you mean? Are you getting paid for it? No.
True. True.
You birthed that child too. I mean, you didn't put in as much time, but you know, you got to take responsibility.
Very rigid, and so we want to be thinking thoughtfully about whether or not something absolutely needs to be a revision.
And back to
And
Lawrence.
then finally, are there other examples of this change? To pull that all together, I put together a template.
That Falcon was like, "Am I on
which
TV?
includes, basically, is a way for you to start.
Am I being
It's a
seen? I
memo
feel like
type,
someone's watching me right now."
approach. Put together proposed recommendations that can be shared with the commission ahead of time using that structure, that communication
Mansplain
timeline
McGee
that we
still on
talked
his
about.
soapbox.
Ideally, if there's a proposal that a subcommittee
man.
or individual commissioner would like the commission to consider that this
It's the
template is
voice,
completed and
too.
shared with council.
It's a very
and commission
mansplaining
members
voice.
before-
But
on
he
the Friday
also,
before
I
the
will
next
never
meeting, so there's a
forget
chance
how
to
he
digest and think
interrupted.
through
Oh, I
the
did not like how he
Last
treated
tomorrow.
Matsumura.
But this
That was
template
rude.
includes
That was very rude.
simple details like
That was
name,
very rude.
submitted by, and date.
We
I
should-
mean,
And
I
then,
will see you
those
interrupting
questions
Carrie.
with a couple prompts.
I know.
We should clip that
What
and then be
problems are you
like,
trying to
"Here's an
address?
example
What change
of
are you
mansplaining."
Ooh.
to address or solve that
Oh,
problem?
that's
Yes.
Is this change
Okay,
feasible?
we're gonna clip
What
It's
are
that.
like how to
equitable
mansplain. First of
implications?
all,
I have a link to the Gay Racial Equity
Actually-
Toolkit with two
actually-
questions that I pulled out from there. You'll see that some of the questions in other parts, some of the other numbered questions are also in the
Gare.
Racial Equity
Gare
Toolkit, so
is-
didn't need to duplicate them. But I thought the questions that who benefits from or will be burdened by your proposal,
I forget what
and
those
what are your
acronyms
strategies
stand
for
for.
advancing racial equity or mitigating unintended consequences.
Amy, I feel like you know.
Would be helpful to at least start to consider when we're bringing proposals.
There we go. Government
proposed
Alliance for Racial
recommendations
Equity.
to the commission. And then really thinking through, must this be a charter revision? And again, are there other examples of this change from other communities? This is not intended to be restrictive or exhaustive, but it is intended to be a way to structure our thinking.
you know,
and
we
start
have
to
more
standardize
views
the
on
ways in
Twitch
which
than
we
they
are
do on
bringing
YouTube.
proposals to the group, and also to best leverage
Yes.
again the
More
subject
views on YouTube.
They as
so that's,
in
We do.
I think we all
the
recognize
committee?
that
We
time
got
is limited,
the
so
That's a
committee
win.
yeah,
really move
on
things along
YouTube.
at a fast
Well,
You know,
I don't
I
know
think
how
it's
many
kind of
people are in
because-
this is
the
a draft.
Zoom though.
Would really appreciate any thoughts you
Sorry,
have
you're
or
saying?
recommendations about revising this.
Oh, that
but
that
that'll
they're
be shared in
trying
our
to
follow-up
suggest to the
email that'll
commission,
go
like,
out
must
on
this be a
Wednesday.
charter review? Which
The
is
last
kind of
thing I
odd
wanted
to
to do is
me.
kind of walk through was a quick update
Like,
on the work
yes,
plan.
it has to be. You know, we do have to make
We are on May
some
3rd.
charter
We
amendments.
had, excuse me, we were on April 19th, and we had our professors, guest speakers. On May 3rd, I have booked Stephanie Jane. and
Someone put
Sabrina
him on a
Garcia
2-minute
from the San
timer.
Jose Office of Racial Equity. They'll be giving us an
Put
overview
mansplaining.
of their work at the office.
God, he
how
just
the
gets
office
going.
thinks about racial equity in San
Oh,
Jose and what
we
they're
have
working
somebody
on.
from the Detroit Charter
And they
Commission.
have
So
asked
Detroit
commissioners
started
if
their
they had
process
any
almost 3
specific
years ago.
questions. I've done,
And
excuse me, I've done my
they're
best
working on a
to relay
Detroiter
some
Bills of Right, Bill of
topics
Rights.
that we have outlined.
So that's
Oh,
pretty
nice.
amazing.
Around
Yeah.
power and accountability in
So,
the various
okay,
roles,
you know what? When you say
analysis
3
of-
years,
of
how long am I
influence,
going to be
accountability,
hosting
diversity,
those?
inclusion.
You're locked in now,
This
Cynthia.
is a new lifestyle. Being civically engaged is a new everyday thing. You should apply to be on a commission, by the way. I want it to be like so hot
also,
that,
thanks
you
to
know, when you meet somebody, you're just like, hey, what commission are you on?
That's the new
It's like-
opening
it's
line.
Just like on, it's just like on your Tinder.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
whether
I'm on
Yeah.
the budget committee.
Are you
It's like,
serving
oh,
the public?
You're just like, oh, are you on the admin committee? I can't date you. I'm sorry, you're not.
Get on my
You're not
level.
on my level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real.
No, I was more
Correct.
just thinking like, you know what? I
And then
participate.
on, May
I
17th,
recycle.
I
You know
have,
that counts as participation
that,
every day.
examples from
Community
comparative cities
engagement,
across the
right?
country continue.
Engage with my
That
earth.
does.
I-
It's
I-
exhausting.
Amy Fawcett, who, as mentioned, was chief of staff
But
Did
yeah,
you say I recycle?
for former San Diego
Yeah,
I
engage
recycle.
with my earth. It counts.
I pick up my neighbor's
Earth Day's
trash
coming.
occasionally. Maybe leaving it around. You know, I fight the HOA. You know, it's part of my civic
Oh,
engagement.
the HOA.
Let me not. What's that? He's like, I don't even pay money to them, and I already don't like them. I'm like, no.
No.
Who loves the HOA except for the people who run the HOA?
Who knows?
Proposals from last summer.
I feel like the HOA is like a graduation from like high school, like queen bee to like just like HOA master. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just like that to like sorority queen, then HOA, and then it's like nonprofit, like chair of something.
With a starting point for ideas to consider, both ideas that have been proposed by mayor and council last summer, things that we've heard, and I've mentioned that I've been tracking that list, and I will share that list once we have, as part of that research project, to compile the proposals from we've heard from mayor and council. But on May 17th, our thought is that we're able to finish the study session phase and move into the subcommittee phase. With the help of the chair
just
and,
moved
and
over
vice
from
chair,
YouTube. Hey, we got a
based
YouTube
on their
converter.
input, form the subcommittee
Welcome.
and start
Hi.
discussions sometime
Wait,
in
KS
mid-May
2012. Did you hear about
we
us
also
when we
do
did
have
the
a
public
hearing
comment?
scheduled.
I'm wondering, dude, we can use the public comments. She's just like, by the way, follow us on Twitch.
It's a public service announcement.
Palatable
We're members of the public. San Jose native, born and raised. That's what's up.
All right.
To work with community organizations to help
Welcome.
messaging and the questions, that would be really helpful. But we still have not booked a date for that.
Oh, let me send a welcome.
So I will stop there.
Thanks, Lawrence.
Thank you.
We wanted to spend some time before we wrap up today, basically asking for your feedback.
We might end a little early today.
About this approach
Ooh,
to.
But now we're going to get into the banter.
recommendations And subcommittees.
Oh,
and
Chaos
also
is saying
to hear
yes,
from
yes,
you,
yes. So
if
he
you
heard
have an
about us
interest
on
in any
the
particular topic to join a subcommittee or any
We heard
particular
our
issues
public
that
comment.
you
He's just like, let me
would
type
like
up
to,
only SJ.
basically raise your hand and sign up for some.
Yo,
some future
KS,
work
welcome
on
to the
pulling
crew.
together
Make sure to like and
recommendations
subscribe.
and having some more discussions and research to bring them to the full
Yes,
board.
basically do that.
So I'm going to add just two
I
things.
feel like 50% of this is
We
like
have
us
the three,
roasting
bucket areas: governance,
whatever is
structure,
going
timing,
on,
elections,
and then like
accountability,
10% of it is
representation, and
watching the
inclusion.
Falcon,
There may
and
be
then yeah,
multiple
40% of
subcommittees
it
in
is
each
like
of these areas
informational.
because of the
The
fact
Falcon,
that
you said?
you're all looking
The
at different
Falcon.
issues or different ideas. So it's not that we're only going to have 9 people doing this.
Like
There
I
could
know
be
sharks are
lots
like
of
our
different
official like
subcommittees looking at
logo
different
and
issues.
mascot,
We
but
have to organize
that
it
Falcon
accordingly.
dough, that Falcon dough.
Tonight, the second thing is tonight I'd like to ask for a round robin so that all commissioners have some time.
Oh,
to
round
talk
robin.
about
Should be round
what
Falcon.
you- kind of what your interests are and where you could see yourself, if you see yourself at any place at this point, but really ask
Wow.
everyone to contribute.
So KS 2012, what's the highlight of the experience so far of this Charter Review Commission this evening?
Before we take questions, or how do you want to take questions along with the round robin? Do you want to?
Are these questions about?
Yeah, it's
a
gonna take us a
process
few seconds
or
for us to see
thoughts
their
that you have
comment.
about as we move forward.
Okay, yeah. Let's just clarify to take questions on this proposed process right now. Let's try and keep them short and sweet so that we can get to that round robin. Understanding we only got 45 minutes left before 9. We'll go over we need to.
Yum.
But Commissioner Siegel, and then Commissioner.
Perfect.
So, I'm wondering
Commissioner
if there
Siegel.
is a date
This is so
in
much
which
fun,
we
y'all.
should be discussing the other portion of what we're charged with,
Yee.
which is anything other than this. There have been a lot of other topics that have come up,
Yes.
and meaning other topics that this commission should potentially address. And
They need to do one on community
at
engagement. I'm
which
going to
point,
speak on that.
Should
Yeah.
we be making motions to address those things?
Hearing some of my friends like Jake Tonko.
Is there a
he's
cutoff
great.
date? I'm
Okay,
concerned
that,
we're
I guess
not
that's
gonna
why
get
you came
to
by.
the other branch of what
Uh,
we've been
Jake.
charged with.
Let me see if I like them.
Well, we're trying to.
Jake
I
is
think that
cool.
we've tried to encapsulate.
He ran
what
for a
we've been
council
charged
member
with, which is
last year,
these
but he
5,
lost to the incumbent.
5 items here. The first of which
He was
we've
outspent.
put together under governance
And a lot of
structure
other things.
since the
We'll
first
talk
deals
later on
with
that.
mayor council, the second is mayoral executive authority.
Spill
Right.
the tea.
The
Spill
second is the timing, and
What am
then
I
the
doing? This is
third
empty.
There's a
is
boba tea
additional measures and
shortage.
potential charter amendments
I
as
heard.
needed
Oh
to
yeah,
improve
I heard there was
accountability,
a boba
representation, and
shortage.
inclusion.
That
So
freaked me
that's
out,
why
man.
we have
That freaked me
bucketed
out.
this
Like
third
I
group
like
of
to think that
subcommittees
I'm
as
in like a
that.
good
And
enough
I,
area
as a
that like we will
facilitator,
get all the
do
boba
want-
and like
and
other
We're
hearing,
places
you know,
and
some
definitely
stuff.
feedback
a
from
high
folks about scope creep.
high request boba area.
Yeah, like I don't mind if Texas doesn't get their boba. Like they don't deserve it. Like we need it.
But my hope, and I'm curious
Lawrence
if
is talking
if you
again. I
agree,
thought we
because
were
it
doing
seems pretty clear to
questions.
me and what was laid
Yeah,
out
right.
by the
Under that.
resolution creating this commission, but that this bucket is where the
Did he just say the F word?
other
Oh, it sounded like it.
but I think it's important that we keep
He-
other considerations
yeah.
Fuck yeah.
constrained to what was laid out in that
It's
resolution.
close.
Is that aligning with what you're talking about, or do you have other thoughts?
Kai, you're Kai. Hello,
Many of
Kai.
the commissioners, as well as members of the
Oh,
public,
Kai. Okay, cool.
wanted us to look at policing in the city. So at which point will you be bringing people to discuss that issue, or at which point will we be
I really hope
discussing
it's
the
not
issue and
Kai
making
2012 because
proposals
they were
around
born in
changes
2012?
to police?
Well, I think
That would make
I
me
mean,
No.
so
for me,
old.
policing would probably fall into this bucket.
And they
the
would be
accountability
9.
As far as policing, seems like it's
Oh,
probably
right.
Drink every time he says. Drink every time he says bucket.
you know, we only have so much time to bring
It's like imagine
speakers,
a
and
world
not to
where
say that
like
we're not going to have more. We
appointed
can't have more
officials will have a
speakers in the
2-minute
study
timer.
session.
Like yes, yes,
But
yes,
I,
yes.
I,
Yes, yes.
my sense
So
is that
Commissioner
after we
Siegel
finish the
has just
topics that we've
asked, you know,
identified and we're
some
talking about in
members of the
study
public
session,
want to hear about
that it's
policing,
time
and
to
are there
start
any
thinking
areas
about
of study
what the
or
potential
changes in the
recommendations
charter for that?
and
And Lawrence is
them.
pretty much just
And
saying we only have
there's
so
gonna
much
need to be
time for so many
more research
speakers,
done both in
so
subcommittee
it
and
doesn't
by
look
the
like
full commission.
well,
And so that could be a moment to bring more
Lawrence.
bring an additional speaker in. But
Can I ask, when we have the speaker from San Diego, could he potentially discuss their changes? I understand they've made some pretty sweeping changes.
yeah, if she feels comfortable speaking to that, I'll be talking to her next week or 2 weeks from now to prepare
Well,
for that.
hopefully
So
they
why
bring
don't you
it
know
up.
your
If not this
schedules,
week.
Lawrence?
Her if she can speak
Lawrence
to
has
that.
a 6-figure
And likewise,
contract,
we're
by the way.
trying to find somebody
What
to
the
do this.
fudger?
on the
What?
conversation in Detroit. And so this is where we're getting into the you know the hopefully
Almost
a
tore my
practical
mustache off
conversation
just hearing
about
that
what's
number.
happening in the communities.
That's a lot of
in sum,
boba.
that
Right?
Yeah.
Dang.
There's a lot of bobas.
That's a lot of
I'm
boba.
just imagining him
Commissioner has
like
an
as a
interest in a
dragon sitting
specific
on a
area,
pile of
that's what the
boba
round
now,
robin is
like
for.
just like
So
hoarding it
Mr.
all
Seagal,
for
if you said,
himself.
hey, I really want to look at policing,
He has all the
that would be
Pokemon
the thing that
balls.
you would say in the round robin. We're trying to get a sense of the full commission in terms of where your interests are. So as we look at subcommittees and looking at that, there's no need for us to limit any of the discussion or any of the
Yeah.
other speakers. If we need to, we can certainly do additional pieces. But I do want to move us to what are the interests folks have. And so I'm going to move to the round robin. I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll. So we're going to move alphabetically. If you could really
Oh,
just
snap.
focus in on what are the areas that you'd like to work on
All
or
right,
that you
I'm
think
staring
are
at
the
a
most
couple
All right,
important
take
people.
notes, people.
that we need
This
to,
is part of the Final Fantasy
that we
football
need to
thing.
focus
We got
on.
this is what we hear from
And
each
as we
commissioner.
move
So we
through
gotta. This
there's
is
gonna
our
be a lot of
draft
repetition,
pick
so
intro.
you can say yes to the
Love it.
and then just move.
You got
is
the
there anything in
notepad?
addition
We
so
ready?
that we aren't having to repeat
There you
everything
go.
all night. So I'm going to ask the clerk to go through the roll. We'll go alphabetically.
All right. Yeah, I heard that.
Okay, I'll go alphabetically for first name. So we'll start off with Barbara Marshman.
Barbara
Okay,
Marshman, Commissioner
I-
Barbara
I
Marshman.
have an interest
Whoa.
in governance and accountability and inclusion, and I think they're so closely related. I'm not sure how you separate them. I have a quick suggestion for speeding things up. I wonder if there are many of us, if any, who feel we should not recommend moving the mayoral election to presidential.
You can't do that now,
year.
Barbara.
No.
It just seems to be such a broad issue.
No.
If we could.
Not
get
right
an
now,
early
Barbara.
determination
No,
of
Not
this
right
is-
now,
exactly
Barbara.
what
You gotta
something-
stick to the
initial,
agenda,
Barbara.
Barbara.
If there's a lot of contention.
We're all
about
like,
it on
no,
the commission.
Barbara.
Yeah, I think
No.
I appreciate that, Commissioner Marshman. We're not there yet.
Exactly.
We're trying to be very thoughtful
Thank
about the
you,
process by
mansplainer.
which we have a debate or constructive conversation about particular priorities. So I don't think that this commission is prepared and has done enough research to really even do a straw poll about.
She's gonna get an
anything.
X for me, but
Believe me, I would love an early win.
She's getting an X
there's a lot
for
to unpack for all these issues. So, but thank you for the suggestion.
Not going in your picks.
Christina Johnson.
Christina.
I would be interested in doing inclusion and also timing of elections. So those would be my first two.
Yeah, Elizabeth Monley.
I would be very interested in pursuing issues of unintended consequences of any
Accountability.
actions that we
Right.
recommend, whether they are in order to protect the charter, in order to protect the offices. And I don't know where that
Is
falls.
she suggesting
but
making
I
her own?
think it's a broad topic that really can be.
I mean, she just sounds like she want to be the charter police. Like, what you doing? How's that
That's
gonna affect
exactly what I'm
me? Oh
saying
no,
is
you
if there's
didn't.
an area
Nah.
that folks think that this is what they'd like to
Just
focus
write
on,
down
that's great. And that's a great idea in terms of like, that's a very good focus that we might look at. In
Fred
all
is
of
for the
them,
charter
right?
police.
That could be the area
Yeah.
that you help us with. So that's great.
But then who polices
Appreciate
the
it.
police?
Yes. Next.
Next is Ellie Matsumura.
Ellie.
Thank you. So I'm interested in all the areas, but I'm not sure that we have the right committee structure yet. Of course, we are just receiving and processing this information right now. I think my thoughts perhaps relate to what Commissioner Siegel was saying. The memo we passed in January said that we would conclude our study phase by defining the scope of what we mean by additional measures to prevent that
Mhm.
scope creep, and that would happen after having a public hearing. I appreciate
gets
we can
two
have
checks.
subcommittees, but we would be sending additional measures out
Just a hot
to
pick.
a committee with,
What do you call those?
with no
Like
staff and with only a
MVP, where
list
there's
of,
like a.
of possible issues.
I
each
don't
of
know.
which
Someone in the
could
chat
take an
told me.
entire
I don't
commission of
know
its own.
football
Police
enough.
accountability, housing,
Yeah,
campaign
I don't know
finance,
football either.
increasing the number of districts, ranked choice voting. Those are just some of the issues that we've heard so
Ooh,
far.
ranked choice voting.
And so I continue
Oh, that would
to
actually
think,
be a
in
really
accordance
good
with
way
the
of
memo that we
increasing.
passed
Yeah,
in January,
that.
that we
Mhm.
need to have study of what we mean by additional measures. We need to have ample public input beyond what we've had to this point. And we need
Yes.
to define that as
Yes.
a commission and then set ourselves up for success
Ellie.
to really work on those,
I
including
see
making
you.
sure that the subcommittees
you,
are
Ellie.
staffed
Cheers
and we
to
have
Ellie.
more resources so that we can give the
Empty
quality
cup,
of
but
study
cheers
to highly
nonetheless.
complex issues like that we've begun to give to issues like council manager versus mayor council form.
Yeah, everybody is gonna pick Ellie.
First pick.
Rico Calendar.
She's the first job pick. She's the number one.
Yes.
There we go, the first
I
pick.
definitely agree with Commissioner Matsumura. I'm not sure that we have
Oh,
quite
Rick.
the right structure, but I wish
Go,
I had a
Rick.
suggestion for a solution. So I think we kind of move into where
So
we
they
are.
need
And the reason why I
suggestions and
suggest that
solutions. So we
is
should
I
be
also
definitely
agree
speaking
with
up.
Commissioner Segal when she said, "What about policing issues?" I think we heard some very strong voices about the need to look at policing issues. So I have to say that I am a strong proponent of looking at the other. So maybe that's the accountability, the representation, and inclusion committee.
Ooh.
Obviously, I have interest in the governance structure and timing of elections. I think there's going to be enough folks to talk about that. But I do want to represent the often not heard voices. And so I'm going to say I'm going to be looking at the other. So the portion 5.
The
of which
others.
the
That's what
council
we
members
be.
look at.
I guess like the people are just others. Like it's just like,
yeah.
oh yeah, I guess.
My
I guess.
relative view
Twitch
of the
users, you mean?
governance structure and the accountability piece of the thing.
I actually
And
seriously
I
thought about
also think
creating
as part of
like
a
the San Jose
subgoal of the
Others
first
Club.
one, you really have to get into
I'll
what are the
do it.
leadership needs or
He's like, who are the
concerns in
others? Everyone.
that require
Who are the main people?
Everyone
The
balance of
governance
power. I
structure.
think we need to start looking at, what are the issues, regarding citywide leadership. Thanks.
Next is Garrick Percival.
Thank you. I am happy to continue working on the timing of elections issue. And I will just kind of just piggyback on what was said earlier that
it was hot.
The last piece, the accountability, representation, inclusion, there's so much overlap between that and the other two. I think we could continue to talk about this, but just for example, on timing of elections, of course, as we heard tonight, has big implications for things
So
like political
Garrick Percival is also a professor
accountability,
at SJSU.
even
I
policing.
kind of felt that a little
would
bit.
fall
when
into
he
that
said-
category, but also in governance structure.
Is he
in terms
married
of the
to
ability of
the other
mayor
Percival?
to, hold a police
Are they
chief
I
related?
feel
more or
like
less
yes,
accountable,
but
those
I
kinds
don't
of
know
things. So
for sure.
I think
It
we,
seems like
we might.
She's probably
Mayor-
in
I
the
think
other.
we want to find a way
Yeah,
that
maybe.
because
I don't
she's
know.
seems like she
people who are
hyphenated her
serving
name.
on
So I'm like,
commissioners serving on these different ones are able
Wow.
to communicate if across the different
Why didn't you
subcommittee
hyphenate your
structures. So I
name,
think that'll be
Garrick?
important. We don't have to work that out tonight.
yeah.
We're just getting to our earliest straw poll. Totally, we could have had 10 little parts here and we would have been, still wouldn't have been enough. So we're just trying to get folks to start thinking about what would be important. Again, if there's some area that you think we haven't covered yet, but that's the area that you really believe should be part of this, feel free to speak up. We'll reorganize and get the structure right, but just wanted to get everyone's kind of voice tonight. Thanks.
Next, we have George Sanchez.
I think I would like to be, I'd like to be involved in all three, but probably would look at governance structure and also along with that, equity, inclusion, so on, that I think would be parts of that. And I think probably some others that will come up as we discuss that particular area. But that's what I'm looking at in terms of my my involvement.
Lee Tran.
I'm interested in governance structure, and if I were interested in, for example, like ranked choice voting and policing, would that also be the other category?
What's the others? See?
Then, yeah, those two.
Can I be in the other committee?
Next, we have
This
Jeremy
is
Farouk.
ridiculous. You're just like, oh, police.
Yeah, I'd
oh,
like to
that's
echo
just
some of the
other
sentiment
committee.
shared
Like,
by
it's not-
Commissioners
that was-
Matsumura
it's not a big deal.
and Calendar around around the structures of subcommittee structures, but also just in the sake of time, governance structure and something around representation and inclusion.
Everyone wants to do representation and inclusion, but nobody wants to do
Jose Posadas is
representation and
next.
inclusion.
Yes, I would be most interested in the third item, the accountability, representation, inclusion.
Look, they actually put other.
Lundia.
Wow.
I'm interested in governance structure. I have a question. Does the question
Accountability
of,
and inclusion
assuming
as
the
other.
presidential- sorry,
Okay,
the
everyone
mayoral
laugh.
election
We're
gets
gonna
moved to presidential
screenshot
years,
this.
the question of 2 years
Oh my
or 6
God.
years for the next mayor. Is that
I
also under
can't believe-
timing,
oh
or
my
is that a
God.
sub?
I'll send it to you.
separate?
I think it depends on
Other.
the lift for these subcommittees.
I like that that's what starts that bullet
I
point.
do want to be
Not-
clear that
not the, you know,
Other.
the notion here is that
other.
these subcommittees are
Wow.
putting
Someone.
putting some thought behind these ideas and
That's
bringing back to the
clip-worthy.
commission, so you all see these ideas. If they're, and I also think that there's a
Yes, clip it.
possibility for all of you to recommend ideas to be considered for these subcommittees. I think what we're trying to do is get a understanding of what you're interested in that generally fits within these three categories, to understand what the list of these potential topics for the subcommittees are, so that we can start the work. So if in timing of elections, doesn't seem like there'd be that many proposals or recommendations to consider, we may not need a second subcommittee on this topic, but I would definitely put that issue.
Oh yeah, what
in
does
that
he have
bucket,
open?
and
Let's
we'll see what
examine
comes up.
that.
This is going to be a very dynamic
Wow.
process. So
Someone
thank you
should
for your
tell them
patience
about
and
Google,
those
what do you
two
call
then.
that? Chrome's like grouping tabs.
Danielle Lazat is next.
Yeah,
I don't
thank
know
you.
about
I would be interested in the governance structure, and I already have some ideas that I'll probably put in a memo with regard to increased powers for the mayor. Also, the timing of elections I'd be interested in. I want to thank you, Lawrence, for this.
Linda's not
outline
interested in
and
others.
The 5 criteria that you listed, one of which is,
Real.
does it really require a charter change? Because a lot of the other issues that people are speaking about, I think that was the admonition that
The
Dr.
other
Christensen
issue.
said is, do we really want it in a charter, or do we want it in a council policy or somewhere else? Because once you put it in a charter, it's hard to get in, it's hard to get out. Whereas we have a council policy.
It's hard to
manual,
remove equity
that
and
may be
inclusion
more
once it's already
appropriate
in the
for some of
charter.
the other issues that we want to address. So I think that answering that question, does it really require a charter change, is going to be
For
really important
others.
for each one of these.
Oh my
committees,
gosh, Linda, I
subcommittees.
cannot.
Thank you.
I posted this right now. I was just,
Next is Luis Ferrocio.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for your giving me the time. I'm thinking, I have a clarifying question.
Somebody needs to like
For
raise their
these
hand and
3
talk in public
subcommittees,
comment
will
about
they be happening
the
at the
others.
same time? Because I'm kind of wondering.
we are other. We need to make like
Hi,
other.
I'm speaking for the other. I identify as other.
That'd be me. I'm other.
Yeah.
Go to all
I
3
just can't. This is
different cycles.
it's ridiculous.
The only challenge we have, I don't assume that they're going to meet at the same time, but the challenge we have is around Brown Act. So we can't have a quorum at any one of these. So we're going to have to be careful that everybody can't go to everything. Otherwise, we're operating as a committee of the whole once we establish quorum. So I doubt they're going to be simultaneous meetings, but we'll certainly have to make sure that we stay in compliance with
Yep.
Brown Act.
There's some
Aside from that,
logistics, but that's
commissioners
what,
could serve on different
Lawrence is paid 6
subcommittees
figures
as
to
long as
figure
we
out.
are in
Yeah,
compliance.
that's a lot of
And that
freaking
includes,
money.
Quorum on communications, Brown Act on communications.
And
So
also pays what
for
he's like.
all these,
yeah.
all these subcommittees will likely be scheduling on their own. But to be a part of that scheduling, we would need to have the list of communication below quorum, so you can see how it adds up. But as far as you want to go, as much time as you want to spend, we don't want to stop you.
Okay, perfect. For me, I have a lot of interest in all of them. Both what's on the work plan and also
He
number
reminds me of
5.
somebody famous.
So I 1, 2, 3 at the moment. I know you'll probably need a little bit more clarity. And I think the next time it's asked, I'll have that clarity.
Great hair.
But to follow up
Right?
on what Commissioner
He's in
Lozada
an
just brought up
office.
in terms of the
He started off in an office.
No,
and
I
now,
think- I
like,
think that's
filters or questions.
he's
to
in a
ask
Zen
ourselves.
studio now.
I'm kind of
yeah, but like earlier, he started off in an office and then he upped his green screen game. Now he's zenned out.
He probably needed Zen vibes. He's like, oh my gosh.
Maybe because he realized he was being watched. He's just like, all right, let me get this virtual on.
background needs to be a charter, amendment or a consideration. But is something more meant by that? Is there some examples that could be given for us as we formulate our ideas that we can kind of run it by those filters?
Mr. Tossi, what is your Instagram?
Thank you.
At Tossi Alabaster.
This is the first pass at creating those filters. So if there are specific prompts, I do intend in this document to create some examples, so we can have a list of running examples if that'd be helpful. I think specifically with this one, it's a question of philosophy for commissioners about whether or not they want to enshrine something in the charter or find another way to implement a potential solution to a problem that's been identified. I will say that in the final report, there will be a list of proposed charter revisions that you all agree to, and or a minority report that some of you agree to disagree to. But the doesn't mean the report can't include other suggestions from you all. So I think starting to think about
other
Do we have a drinking game for others?
See,
Every time they mention other.
I'm already drunk.
Just drink. Just drink.
This should be. This is more like
hook up an IV
in council procedures manual. So we'll, like everything we're doing, we'll add more clarity and fidelity to this over time. But I appreciate other thoughts, and I see Attorney Vanny has a hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on that. Echoing what Lawrence said, some of it is philosophy. If there are any questions about does this need to be in the charter? Does this not need to be in the charter? You can reach out to me as well. There are certain things, for example, the timing of the elections, where the charter does speak about what is required. And so if you're going to change anything, then it will require a charter amendment for that purpose. But generally
So,
speaking,
for those
yes.
of you who don't know, the charter
What
can
is
be
in the
changed
charter
in
and what is
3
not in the
ways, which
charter
is by this
can be
commission,
considered a philosophy.
which the last time they convened a commission was 1985, or it can be done by majority council vote, or through the public by
Perfect, thank you. I
collecting
think,
signatures and such.
the last couple of sessions we've
How many signatures would you
And this
need
is the
to
most
get it?
democratic way to change it because you're convening, these are all San Jose residents. Some have experience, and then I would say, some don't. And it doesn't matter if you do or not. You just have to live in that district that you're being appointed in and have a genuine interest in wanting to serve. And that goes for all commissions.
Well, you can always think about staff and structure. So, and then Mayor Ron Gonzalez said some things to consider would also include like leadership ability. And so like there's just a lot of different things and filters, if you will. I don't know like what's a better word.
Yeah,
There's a lot of considerations that I think like Lawrence in that other template, if you can sort of kind of list out some things that could kind of jog our memory and sort of compare or do that litmus test against
like
some of
honestly,
the-
Well,
did you
absolutely, I
clip
think
this,
it's a great
Cynthia,
idea.
and
I also
post
think
it?
that
Like,
the very nature of writing something down.
I just can't believe that
basically
they.
makes
I
sure it's
had
correct,
to.
and then it
I
puts it in a
mean,
format that
I
someone else
tagged
can
all
read.
of y'all, but like
So the whole
I'll add
beauty
it
of
to
this
my story
process is
later.
that
But I mean,
more eyes are better than one
Yeah.
set of eyes, and more
Hashtag
brains
other.
are better than one. So there's going to be a lot of uncertainty and
Other.
unknowns, and so
San
I
Jose
would
Others
definitely
Club
caution
happening.
anybody
You got to make it
using
happen,
this template,
Elena.
to make sure that the perfect is not the enemy of the good. Meaning, just start and share it and have a
Enemy of the
conversation because
good.
someone's going to know more than you do, and you're
What
going
is
to
he
know more
even
than someone
saying?
else does about something specific. So this is a group
It's better to
process. We're really
start. Or it's better
crowdsourcing ideas and using
to.
the best knowledge of
What is it?
everyone together. And
Better
the
done than
community
perfect
to vet
kind of
these
thing.
ideas.
Like,
So
just
I
get
think
it
it's a
started
simple
I
rather
totally
than.
agree with
year.
that.
I'll
But I
strive
think
to add what I can as far as additional prompts. and
what I don't agree with
resources.
is sacrificing
creating a list
done
of
for
other,
impact.
levers or mechanisms
Sacrificing
for
the others.
accountability.
Yeah, because a lot of times people are just like, oh yeah, we got we the others.
Sacrifice us.
Proposals in a way that
Yeah.
they can be
Lawrence
easily
has
shared
1 million tabs. I have 10 million tabs open. Like I'm sorry, Joey. I guess I'm more like him than I thought.
One of the things that should be avoided, as you said, trying to get it down right the first time may not allow us to really flush it out, right? So thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, you bet.
Up next is Magnolia Siegel.
That is a name.
Thank you.
That is
I'm
a
interested in both governing structures
Still
as well
Magnolias.
as the
Yeah.
evaluatory, the accountability.
Welcome to the stage, Magnolia Siegel.
However, if you end up having a quorum in the
So good.
governance structures that causes a problem, I'm happy to drop out of that.
Thank you.
Maria Fuentes is next.
Oh, I heard.
Thank you.
That sounds
I'm
like what your name
interested
is.
in the government structure and within that, the question of the strong mayor. And then I'm also interested in the other one, the third category, but I think that probably those areas will be covered in everything. So I'll just stick to one, the government structure and the
We need you,
the
Maria.
role of the mayor. And then I also wanted to comment.
She's gonna get our
first of
back
all,
on the
this
other
is
ones.
Excellent. It's a great framework for us to do our work. And of course, we can always, improve it as we start using it. But I want to mention that we need more discussion about the community outreach and the community outreach, but also the public hearings. And I hope we can agendize that for a future meeting, because primarily, I want to get something started in that area so that we start hearing more from a broader community. Thank you.
And Commissioner Fuentes,
Maria.
I'm just about I've been waiting for the council's actions because that's going to determine a lot of what we do. So April 27th, we should have a much better idea of what resources we have, which then definitely affects our plan, but it hasn't left our mindset around making sure we have community engagement. And I thought tonight's engagement was increased, and it was great to hear.
I
some
agree,
really thoughtful,
because we're here.
Comments from the public, which is awesome. Thank you for your comments, so Commissioner Brent. This is definitely under our consideration.
Thank you.
Next, Commissioner.
Next is Sammy Robledo.
Thank you. I would definitely be interested in the timing of elections and governance structure. That's a very interesting to me.
Somebody get Sammy a mic.
Can you repeat that last? I missed that, Commissioner Robledo.
I'm able to get into. I would appreciate it.
Oh.
Thank you. Next Commissioner.
You know how like South by Southwest will send
Sherry
like the
Segura?
speakers like a whole gear
I mean,
like
there
set up to do their
there are
presentation.
there's a library, I think, in New York or something, or a school that will do that too, like an art school. They'll send out like, and like I've been helping a lot of local theaters put together packages that they can send their, their actors and stuff
Nice.
to.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah, you know.
I literally, this is probably like my third mic or my second mic.
Yeah.
Like it's just hard. And
I
once,
go through
like,
mics
this-
so fast.
Huh?
It's the cords.
I'm sure Mark.
Oh yeah, you
I feel
gotta.
like my mic cords go out really fast.
I mean, I think I've found that actually leaving this is like my fifth webcam, but I actually found that like unplugging it is actually better for longevity. Because I think like even because I have like a docking station, so like even though it's not on, it's kind of powered. So at least that for me helped. But I don't know how long this is gonna last.
I have a USB mic now.
Yeah, this is a USB mic too. It just looks kind of fancy.
I mean, it's got a boom stand, which is good because then you don't get the vibration. Boom, boom. Here we go. Charter review right in session. Pull up now, get that lesson. Drink it up, drink it up. Let's go again. I say, what's up?
It's a party.
I think it should go in hand with governance structure, timing of election, and that should be
All
also
right.
another one of the questions that's being asked and proposed on the proposal template around the equity.
Thanks, Amy.
implications. And then I think for me, I really struggle with the three of them. I can't give a definite answer. But I am really in favor of putting accountability, again, representation and inclusion on the other two, or to put it as a draft template question under the equity implications. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next we have Young Zhao.
I would be interested in the governance structure. That would be my first choice. And I am also interested in accountability.
That was the last commissioner. Fred, if you'd like to speak.
Thank you so much. Okay. This
comment.
is really helpful. And I know this is just the beginning of our conversation. Mark, you have your hand up. Did you want to say something?
I
I'm
just
sorry,
raised my
that
hand
was
now,
from when
'cause
I
you
raised
never
my
know in
hand
the
the prior
queue.
time.
Okay. Want to make sure you included. So appreciate your thoughts. And I don't think these are exclusive categories. So listening tonight will help us to start to formulate what these committees could look like. Certainly, if you're looking at governance, accountability has to be part of that discussion. If you're looking at representation, certainly that's going to be in the district, the timing of elections. So yes, they're going to all be interactive. What I'd like to be able to figure out is what are the different areas of recommendations so that, as I say, a number of subcommittees might be in these different areas. If these are the wrong areas, we'll make those adjustments, but really wanted to hear from everyone just in terms of where you are right now and kind of what we do need to do next. We do have two, I think, very important study sessions to go, both in the San Diego model of the transition to a strong mayor. I think that will
I
help
hope
us to
some of these
navigate
folks
that
have like
through.
standing desks.
And
Like
the
I can
Detroit
only hope
piece
for that
is
for
also
them.
important.
I'd like a
I'll
standing
ask that.
desk.
I think it has the strongest charter review
Yeah.
commission that looks at the issues of equity and inclusion and diversity in the Detroit model. So I'm not saying that the study
for the
sessions
culture,
are over.
but
So I
my
really
bad.
want to make sure we still have some work to do in these different areas.
I love our boy
for
Wood
the
Jr.
office
He's
of,
so funny.
our own
Yes.
Office of Cultural Relations. I'm sorry, cultural. I don't know the correct title.
Racial equity.
Racial equity in our city. So that's why they're coming. And if you have specific questions,
I don't know
you
the
can hopefully
term.
send those to Lawrence.
Did you see? Did you see Rick Chandler? Did you see Rick Chandler? He was like, it was that body language. I was like, ooh.
Rick is just like,
So there's a lot more to come in
out
that
there.
area. And I want to make sure folks remember that there's still a lot more discussion to have before we get into this. We're trying to do this now so that we can start organizing as we continue to study and then move into getting some work created so that the commission has more to talk through. So appreciate your thoughtfulness tonight. And I'm going to ask for any public comment at this.
We have one hand from Commissioner Calendar.
I'm sorry.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just a quick point of
Oh,
information.
say
I
it.
don't
Go,
know
man.
that
Go,
the
go, go.
clerk's
Go,
office
brother.
is even ready to answer it, but the exercise that we just went through, do we have a sense of, does any one of those three subcommittees have a quorum or have beyond a quorum?
They probably
taking
will,
notes?
but I'm not worried about that.
Lawrence, what's
in
your
the sense
job?
That I'm going to break up those subcommittees into smaller groupings to see.
Six figures,
We'll
let's
work on
go.
that so we know what quorum issues are.
That's his new name now, Six
When we
Figures.
do
Six
the
figures.
division into subcommittees,
Six-
we'll be very
six-figure
careful
Grodeska.
to delineate what communication looks like so that we don't violate Brown Act, not by the quorum of a meeting, but the quorum of conversation and having a serial meeting. So I'll give really specific direction from the city attorney on that. So we'll take care of the quorum issue for you, and we'll give you strict direction around communication so that we make sure that we are as transparent as we can be as a commission,
Luis
as
just
well as
sneak an
efficiently get work done. So I
From the
appreciate
Zen
that. We
garden.
cannot- all you did tonight in the straw poll gave us kind of the areas, but we're going to have to break those up because otherwise I think we'll have quorum issues on all three of those.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'll look to you for your leadership on that.
And the other thing I'll add is that, as mentioned, we really do want to use the proposals that came out of
Oh my God, what now, Lawrence?
mayor
Why
and
did you have
council
to
from
say
last summer,
anything,
as well as
Lawrence?
the
It
topics
was
that you
over.
all have raised. So I'm going to do my best to
It
get
was
that
over.
list together before our next meeting so that we can use that to inform further breaking out subcommittees into a size that does not, affect Brown Act or even get close to Brown Act, while also being some logical groupings that allows for a conversation that reflects the overlap of the categories as best as we can, recognizing that
He gotta earn his
dividing things
mansplaining
into,
dollars. Oh
separate
my
parts,
God, Amy.
conflicts
Do
with
not
the
ever
ability
not
to be
come
whole.
to
So
this
there's
show.
a general
I need
tension
you,
that we're
Amy.
creating by the very nature of creating
Game of
subcommittees.
Thrones
But we're
like
doing
that.
our best to thread the needle there.
Oh.
Thank you, Chair.
All right.
Like, what do you
let's,
call a
go to
mansplainer that
public for
mansplains other
public
men
comment
too?
on
Just
this
like
item
it's just
first,
like the
and then we have
All right, public comment.
Alpha
on
splainer.
items not on the agenda.
Alpha.
Our speaker's Alina.
Alpha split. Oh, I'm first. Hi, commissioners. So two areas that I would like to add. Two areas that I would like to add is Section X, which is commissions as a whole. And from all of you participating right now, you can see that it's not very inclusive, it's not very equitable. We're not really reaching the community. And so how commissions function as a whole, I think should be looked at. And so when we talk about systemic change, this is an area that we can get into the details and really kind of figure out how do we get more people in, how do we engage them, and how do we have this conversation. Second is community engagement and enabling specifically civic participation. And so it's not on here. And also I'd like to point out that it's a little bit odd to see on the agenda that you have these other items listed and then you have others as equity and inclusion. And like, is that what you think of it? Is that this is the other stuff that's not as important? And so I'd really like to be mindful that, everybody here at the very first meeting, when you did the round robin and introduce yourself and why you're serving, everybody spoke on equity and inclusion. And so I think that is really important that we don't other it and that we really prioritize it. Thank you.
Claire Beekman.
I felt that.
Hi.
burn.
To begin,
Ooh.
my
Ooh,
guess
the
that
others are
the
speaking
minutes
out.
process that was approved at the beginning of the meeting, if I want to talk about that minutes in the future, I can talk about it at this time at old business, or if the letters from the public that is in the beginning of the agenda. With that said, just to kind of go over what you're talking
Lena
about
just
tonight,
like
it really sounds
backhanded
like you're
all
working
of
on,
them. Like, yes,
you know,
the others
that
are
the
rising
It's
up.
not
mayor,
other this.
because of the city charter,
I
it
mean,
simply doesn't
we the
have
other.
much
We're gonna be the
guidelines of
main.
exactly what his role is. And it's going to be your jobs to figure that out a bit in the coming weeks. And you're going to start to really go into the strong mayor stuff for the next month or two, it sounds like. It sounds like other people are saying tonight, it's simply a matter that the charter, there's a few guidelines that the mayor needs to have and direction of what sort
You
of
dropped it, Blair. It's too
ways
high.
he can
Lena
better
dropped it.
manage, legally.
Blair
Basically,
is so civically engaged. He shows up
he's
for every
managing right
single
now in
meeting.
kind of an
He's
arbitrary
always
framework.
speaking. He's
Work
always
on those
there.
terms. That's the refinement and subtlety that addresses the city council and
Blair,
the
come hang out with us
community.
in the chat.
That's my key work that I want to work on.
We should have
and
said
focus
at
on
the end,
committee meetings,
we're
subcommittee
on
meetings.
Twitch. By the
And
way,
that you address
get more people.
the ideas of what I tried to say before, community and council. That's the way I want to talk about the council city manager process. How that all comes back to strong mayor ideas back to the city council. How do they vote on the subject matter? How can they vote on mayor ideas? I think that's an important concept. So thank you for your time. I hope that you consider language interpretation ideas. I will talk about that in public comment. And to quickly ask, is this the commission that's going to decide if the mayor gets an extra 2 years? Do I have someone? Can someone answer that for me?
Thank you. Next speaker.
Roland.
Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And very briefly, this
Mayor
is for the
gets
people who
4
are
years
going to
now,
be,
right?
going into,
4 or 2?
separate discussions about the timing of
Does
the
the mayor get
election.
4 years now or 2?
And there's one thing I want to come in.
Well, he gets
There's
4
one
years.
thing I want to
but
communicate to you.
if they're going to move the mayoral
that if
election
you go
to the
for-
presidential year, then that means like he only serves 2 or she only serves 2 before having to go through re-election. So they have to make up that gap year. So it's either a 2-year term or a 6-year term.
And
Okay.
not only that, you're actually going to be electing somebody for the next 6 years that will not. I'm getting some kind of background here. Could somebody please mute themselves? The issue that you're
interrupting
going to
me.
be closing here is that these people
That got real
that you
awkward.
basically
I was like, huh?
trying to
Yeah.
get
Is it me?
engaged into the
I'm not in this
election
call.
process
No, that was Fred.
will not be at the table when you elect the next mayor for the next 6 years. I hope that made sense. Thank you.
I think Fred turned off his. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, never mind.
That was the
Yeah, he
last
turned it
public
off now.
speaker on the work plan.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Our next item is anyone in the public wishing to address us on an issue that's not on our agenda tonight. First speaker.
So this is the final
Claire
last call.
Last call for last
Hi,
call.
Claire Beekman. Thanks a lot for the meeting and the process.
Yo, man, y'all got it better.
To
Hire Doug
begin,
Cameron for
I
the
hope you can
Falcon.
work on language
What's
interpretation
up?
issues.
What's up? He
I
deserves
think
better.
It's just an issue to really consider. We can have Zoom meetings, I feel, where you can ask either, city government or people at San Jose State to do the job for like $100 an hour,
Hey,
and
go
ask
Falcon.
union
Go,
representatives
buddy.
to ask
Like,
to
I feel
work
like
for
he should
that
have a
ideas.
name. Does he
And
have a
please
name?
ask someone
I
to
don't know, I'm
mute
gonna find it. I
themselves
might Google
at
it.
this time while I'm speaking.
He,
Um,
or she.
There,
is very
there's
much
this,
watching
there's this
that,
English
or they.
only vex that we have on us that, I guess since the mid 80s, we got to learn to talk our way through that. And I think we are. Just be aware of that concept and that it's so much more important to work towards everybody having a fair shot, and it gives everybody opportunity, mental health. If you have a more inclusive language for all, language interpretation can be open to everyone. That's an important concept to learn. There's democratic
interested-
Go
principles
Blair.
that have to be part of the
Blair is
accountability
too hot.
bucket of policing, equity,
Oh, the Falcon.
that you need to work on. democracy is really going to be coming around by 2025. Individual
Yes, it's
forms
gonna be
of
coming
democracy,
around.
Yay,
not
man.
a
Yeah,
democracy as a republic, but
2025
as
is
the
on the ballot.
individual. There's really important work happening that I hope you learn
Yeah,
to
we
check
hope it comes
out,
back
and
in
to
full
also
form, you
offer.
know?
It's quite possible we may be having a large earthquake, in the next 5 years.
Whoa.
I don't know if that's accurate, but confer with each other with Brown Act ideas. Is that possible, and how will that be affecting your decisions at this time? I feel in the next 5 years after 2025, that's when we
Go,
really
Blair.
start going, and things are
I
going to
really
really
feel
be
it.
happening towards
Blair,
something
you're my
incredibly positive
earthquake.
and hopeful.
Well, actually, I just raised my hand, so let's see.
Plan for that. Plan for democracy. Thank you.
Plan for
Thank you. Next
democracy.
speaker.
Sorry, Cynthia in
Plan.
public.
Cynthia.
I'm very pleased to be here again. I wanted to address something that hasn't been covered. It's been slightly covered, but it's just homelessness in San Jose. We are one of the largest cities in California. We have one of the largest homeless encampments in the nation. And I don't think enough has been done to address it. As we've seen with the COVID-19 pandemic, if we let things go unaddressed, they just get worse and worse and worse. We saw a rampant amount of COVID deaths within our homeless camps and among our unhoused citizens. And I'm just wondering, like, rather than trying to, there's been a lot of initiatives in the past that aim to clean up the encampments of that is just throwing away their stuff, but it's not giving them any resources for either permanent or temporary resettlement, any like food or hygiene products, right? Things that they actually need to keep themselves safe and to be able to live in this world as people with dignity. So rather than, try to attack the problem, rather than try to attack the symptoms, I actually urge the committee to find ways of tackling income inequity, as well as finding ways to reduce our homelessness, right? Because at the root of this is displacement, it is high housing costs, it is low wages. This is what causes it, and also lack of mental health resources. This also ties into defunding the police potentially, but how can we as a city come together to take care of those that are the most vulnerable? And I think that's something that is very pertinent to a lot of the conversations today, and that's something to center in a lot of our conversations regarding whether we are restructuring our government or whether we're coming up with a new constitution or coming up with new subcommittees. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Cynthia was the final speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners, for being here with us tonight. I'm going to adjourn us to our next meeting of the Charter Review Commission, which is May 3rd, and appreciate all your thoughtful comments tonight. Have a good week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Thank
Hi,
you.
council members. That was oh, I should have had like a background there ready. I think you guys are muted on my side. Am I tripping?
No. I muted because I didn't want to have
Muted myself.
echo for
Yeah,
Cynthia's
I have
comments.
to mute too.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, I should have had like an
Okay.
American flag and like an eagle as a background. Okay. No, but I
Yes.
forgot to shout out only in San Jose. No, but next time.
It's all good. It's all good. Ooh, I should add
No,
something
it's
here.
all
This
good.
background here. Let's see.
Oh, we can look at some more Falcon Cam.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I'm down to have the Falcon as our main background. When is the next meeting? Kai is already interested. But
Hey.
So the next meeting is May 3rd. May 3rd.
Okay.
There's the Falcon. And all right, so how was it participating, folks, for the first time?
Are you asking?
Well, actually, Cynthia was I don't know who I'm asking now.
Everybody, I guess, in general.
Everybody.
And put some music on
Everybody,
here.
light up the chat. Yes, music.
Yeah.
Sorry, you guys can't hear it, but here it'll be on our stream.
It's on the screen though, right?
For me.
Yeah, it's on the stream. Yeah,
Like it was for you? Oh, I know it was for me. No, I think it was kind of interesting. I like that we got to do public comments. But again, it's like really short, and it almost feels one-sided sometimes because I don't know if they actually hear me or if it's just like, oh yeah, cool. All right, moving on, you know.
Oh, they hear you,
I
but
don't
are they
know.
listening? That's the question.
Exactly. Yeah. I guess that's the word. That's the word. I'm not great with words.
You're great.
But I thought it was a really interesting meeting. What were some of the highlights and high points for you two?
I think Blair, I you know, as someone who is incredibly new to this whole thing, that's my entry point is this, you know, this evening and stuff. Hearing someone like Blair, you can just hear the passion. That it's really about the community that they are caring for, and that this person has the support of individuals like yourselves who are here. Like the power of, you know, you can never underestimate the power of one person. One person that has a voice and has something to say, right? So
Hashtag Blair Gang.
Blair Gang.
Team Blair. Team Blair. It was such an honor to have both of you joining tonight, and I feel like if I came across this in real life as a younger, non-civically engaged person, or like I feel like if somebody in high school maybe saw this or college, I feel like this is much more approachable. And, you know, the vibe that I was going for was definitely like, we're not experts. We're like regular San Jose residents engaging. And this is how it is for most people engaging for the first time. And you can see how parts of it is accessible and parts of it are definitely not. Right. And, you know, the just speaking up in public comment, the first few times, like I was super nervous. My voice was shaky and like, you know, trying to be, I see the clock, you know, counting down. I'm just like, oh my God. And then English is not my first language, so sometimes that comes out when I'm nervous.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. When I'm tired, my Tagalog, you know, my Taglish will come out for sure.
I just turned to gibberish. It's just gibberish.
So funny.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we still have people tuning in. I'm so excited. Like, it's not a lot, but still, I was really happy that everybody tuned in. And yeah, I hope to do this again.
Yeah, you guys really like this format. Great. Maybe Elena, you'll have a feedback form to send out to folks at some time.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No worries. Yeah, if you.
Yeah, no, I like it.
You know what?
I
Just I don't have a feedback form, and I should have that. Thank you, Tassie. So everybody here, just literally send me an email and, you know, share your feedback and, you know, tell me what you like, what you want to see more of. And this is supposed to be a collaborative co-creation. You know, we want to listen to the audience and we want to provide them with the platform that they can most engage with.
Yeah, I think what I'm most thankful for, I honestly told Alina I have to wear a mustache for this.
And I said, you do you. And she honestly, the only reason why like the Falcon cam is on was because Cynthia told me she loved it so much. And I said, all right, Cynthia, for you, we'll put the Falcon cam on. How long does the Falcon just guard all night? It's so like, what a parent. It's just
right.
There.
It's just like looking around, like
that's life before
nobody get my baby. Nobody get my baby.
That's life before the internet, right there for you.
I don't know, because it was just like, because I remember you sent me the link to one of the meetings and it was so boring. Yes. And then like there were parts where I got really mad. There's parts where I was just like, this is so boring. And then like I just saw the Falcon come and like the little thumbnail. I was like, what? So I just kept flicking back and forth. I'm like, this makes it worth it. This makes it worth it. But yeah, I'm so happy we can have the Falcon and Tassie.
Yes. Thank you for having
and
me.
And Alina, thank you guys so much for having me. It's been a blast. And honestly, just allowing me to wear a mustache, and I would have signed up for whatever you were doing.
All right.
Well, that's the show.
That is the show. Thank
you,
everybody.
Yeah, if you haven't yet hit that follow button, remember, it's free.
Follow on, you know, I'm gonna put all of the information. You gotta follow here, and then also on Instagram.
Yeah, go ahead and pop your handles in there so that people can follow you too.
Sure.
This, just get notified about everything when it comes out. I have 2 handles. I run a comedy production company, so this is one of them. And my main one has Cynthia Public. Yes, there are more mustache pictures if you really search.
I really like when you did your hair with the purple braids. I thought that was
Oh, I missed that too. It kind of ruined my edges and that a little bit, but it was.
It seemed heavy, but
it was
heavy
very
with
heavy.
content.
It was very heavy.
Heavy with content. I love that.
With content.
The crown of content. There you go.
Yeah.
Heavy is
Well,
the crown.
actually, Facebook is the best way to know about me, at least for my production.
Oh damn! I do not engage in Facebook at all. I'm so bad.
I noticed that. I was trying to find you.
I was trying to tag you too, and I was like, "What? Where?"
But I like the show. Add us to your stories. Tell your friends and your grandmas and your pet
Yeah.
rocks. Get the story out there. Young Buck. You.
Young Buck.
All right, y'all.
Okay.
Guess that's a sign
Have
off.
a good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Only in Stray Live out.
Bye. All righty.
Since we could raise our glass to a finer things, dream of the past instead of waiting for a leap back. What will change this time? On and on it goes while we stand aside. No, we really don't, and something in us.